All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Tribaholics. It's a special edition of Tribaholics tonight. It is Nole Madness. We just got our region and our seeding last night for the March Madness tournament. I'm super excited for that to come up on Friday. The playing games obviously are on Thursday. We're just getting out of the ACC tournament. As you can see with all of these beautiful faces around here, we got a loaded show for you guys. So before we go ahead and get started, I'll toss it over to the guys. Let them know and introduce themselves if you don't already know them. Obviously, Marshall to my left here is my co-host for Tribaholics. So we're just going to skip over him and we'll throw it over to Justin. Justin, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Justin. I'm the host of the Nole Zone podcast and just really excited to join this.
I'm Austin Veazey, lead basketball writer at Nole Game Day, co-host of Hear the Spirit podcast, presented by Nole Game Day.
I'm Jake Mossing. I'm the current vice president of the Nole Zone, so I partner with Justin on a lot of things, and I'm also technically a co-host of the Nole Zone podcast. And I am sipping on some Gatorade right now in my Saints cup. I miss you, Drew Brees.
Oh man. I'm Logan Robinson from Nole Game Day, and also Hear the Spirit co-host over there with Austin. I definitely appreciate Caleb coming on here and inviting all of us. Excited to talk some basketball. I'm drinking. This sucks. I had to find some kind of alcohol because I ran through it this weekend, but I found one little bit left of some white wine, or actually it's red wine. So this is what I'm drinking. So thank you, Caleb. I didn't want to drink it all this week, but you made me, so here I am.
That was the longest introduction of anybody so far, just to let you know. But anyway, my name is TJ Pittenger with Double Fries No Slaw. I'm drinking Diet Dr. Pepper. I'll upgrade at some point, probably after we start talking about the Georgia Tech game. That's all I got. I'll save the rest of the comments for Logan later.
Thank you.
And then Aria Masudi, I got some water. Wish I had some alcohol. I didn't know that's what you guys did here, or I would have been more prepared for it. But that's awesome that you guys do that. As far as what I do, I mean, how much time do you have? I really don't.
Just go read his bio. Just go read his bio on Twitter, and you'll be good.
But I'm excited to be here. I love Florida State basketball. Have since I was, 5 years old, and I know a lot of guys in here following the Noles since Leonard first came on, and the Tucker Center seats were, different colors, and making an NIT was considered a success. So definitely different times. We appreciate the different times, and nothing better than March Madness, y'all. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, and I'm Richie Barnes. I work with TJ over at Double Fries No Slaw. Guys, it's the Bachelor finale, so I have my wine tonight. My wife is pissed that I'm doing this for the first hour, but I told her, hey, we can fast forward through commercials. And man, like you just said, Aria, like when I was in school, we had a celebration when we made the tournament for the first time in like 10 years, and now we're pissed off that we're a 4 seed. So I'm excited to talk about some FSU basketball with some fellow FSU basketball fans tonight, man.
Richie,
absolutely.
Richie, do you remember when Florida State didn't make the tournament? Was like the first team left out 4 years in a row, and we were like the bubble kings of having our bubble burst. And now we sit there and we're complaining about what region we're in and praying not Gonzaga.
Yeah, man, it was awesome because we finally made it in. Tony Douglas came and saved us, and I think it was the first year we got in. We're a 5 seed and drop it to Wisconsin as a 12 seed. I feel like we always do the best when we're low expectations, which is kind of the narrative right now. Low expectations after these last few weeks coming in, so I'm excited to see what could happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. But I know some of you guys already let us know what you're sipping on, but that's one of our things here at Tribaholics is we go around and ask everybody what they're sipping on. So Richie already told us he's sipping on wine. Logan's sipping on wine. TJ's gonna upgrade midway through. Austin's got his lemonade. Everybody's got their own thing, but I've got a nice little Sweetwater 420 strain pack from the ABC liquor store that I'm sipping on tonight. So got a G13 and a chocolate style as well. So it's gonna be a nice little selection for me tonight. And Marshall, I'll let you talk since you haven't had time yet.
All right, thank you. Can't think of a better way to spend my Monday night with the boys talking about some Nole basketball. I'm sipping on the good stuff tonight. A little bit of Austin Hope action, some Cab. We're just gonna have a couple of those guys and see what happens.
Anybody else got anything? Justin and Jake, you You guys have anything to sip it on?
Oh yeah, I got this Coors Light right here. You know, mountains are blue. Gotta be good.
I'm taking it easy this Monday night, so just some blue Gatorade. Can't go wrong with it.
That's right. You did mention you were sipping on blue Gatorade. But if anybody's watching, let us know what you're drinking on throughout the show. We're gonna have a blast tonight. And without further ado, actually, I want to give a quick shout out to the man who gave and made our promo picture for this event, and that's Brian. Did a great and absolutely bang up job with that, man. I couldn't thank him more for what he did. I texted him. I was like, hey, man, just something simple. Doesn't have to be anything, big or huge or anything like that. And this is what simple, I guess, meant to Brian. And I was blown away. I sent it to like everybody immediately. I was like, oh my God, you see? Look at this. And I sent it to Logan later when he was on live on IG Live too. I was like, look at this thing. Look at it. It's awesome. But
it's way too nice for what's about to happen on here. So
yeah, definitely. Shout out Byers too. Byers did the Tribaholics logo. For those of you who don't know, Byers is also a graphic designer himself. I think he is actually working with the Florida State, athletic department right now on a few things. So shout out to Byers for doing our logo from the get go. That was awesome too. But yeah, Brian's a goat and he's great. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this, and we're just going to immediately get into what happened in the ACC tournament. And we can start with the UNC game, but that UNC game pretty much came down to the end. And, I just needed that one last free throw from MJ, and luckily it fell for me to cover the 2.5 right before I got it. But yeah, so you can take it from there and then go into the Georgia Tech game, because I know there's a lot to talk about that. And we'll start in the other corner down there with you, Richie. What are your initial thoughts on the ending of that ACC tournament?
Yeah, well, with the North Carolina game, it's a great first half, just like we saw in Chapel Hill a few weeks ago. And then, we kind of got a little deja vu. It looked like North Carolina was going to come back and do the exact same thing they did to us a couple weeks ago in Chapel Hill. But that's what encouraged me a lot before we got to Saturday night, was they held on. They got down by 5, came back and won the game in Greensboro. And obviously, limited fans, but it was still a great thing to see. And little did we know those 18 turnovers against North Carolina would be an unfortunate, predictor of what would happen Saturday night. But I was very happy with the result of that Carolina game. They're still a talented team. So anytime you beat them, especially in the ACC tournament, you enjoy that. So I was very happy until, Saturday night, and we'll get to that.
All right, Speed. Yeah, turnovers was the story of the past couple of games, man. I don't know what's going on there, but I think Leonard, his interview yesterday, I think he sounds like they're in a good spot and they're going to clean it up. So anyone want to bounce off of that?
I mean, it's just the issue when you don't have a true point guard. I mean, we've been talking about it all season. When you lose a guy like Trent Forrest and you try and replace with a guy that's been playing small forward, power forward his whole life, in Scotty Barnes. As phenomenal as Scotty is as a talent, he still just doesn't have the ins and outs, the X's and O's of being a point guard. There's a lot of times in the tournament where I don't know how well you can see it on TV, but I was at both games and he's just pointing all over the floor, and guys are like, it's kind of out of the offense. This isn't what we do. He's just still trying to figure those things out. And then Raekwon Evans has been so disappointing since early January that you're losing so much at the point guard play right now, and you're seeing it in the turnovers.
I was going to ask go ahead.
I was going to ask Austin then what can be. I mean, is that just what it is, right? Like, what can be done to like kind of circumvent that? Because we go into this UNC Greensboro game, and I know we're not previewing that yet, but like we go in with 20 turnovers, we're probably going to get upset in the first round, right? Like, so what can be done to kind of mitigate that a little bit, or improve it without giving all the trade secrets away? But what can we do here?
Turk's got to get involved more, especially early. I mean, we see it late in games where Turk and Scotty finally start getting to the rim. If we get these guys involved,
he only had 8 points in that game against Georgia Tech.
I mean, I get he was in foul trouble, but
right,
he's too important to the team not to play him. I think Cam's going to have to go away from his 2-foul thing at least a little bit in the tournament. If we want to have a deep run, you got to trust your guys, especially a guy like that's been in the program for 4 years.
Just think the fact that MJ is supposed to be the leader is something that's kind of concerning to me in the fact that he was the main culprit of these turnovers in last game, he turned the ball over 8 times by himself. Does that not concern anybody else moving forward? After this, especially against Georgia Tech, I know there's a lot of talk about Alvarado probably fouling on some of those reach-ins that could have been called. But does that concern anybody else, like moving forward with MJ, who's supposed to be the guy, the leader, who's supposed to be able to want to take care of everything when things are going bad? Does that concern anybody else besides myself?
I mean, yeah, he has to be a lot more careful with the ball and just like going forward, like the team as a whole needs to be more careful because we had something like 24, 25 turnovers, which is like, although Georgia Tech, they are a good defensive team, like we can't have that. Like we could get an early bounce, maybe even in the first round if we are and MJ is like they're not careful with the ball. They just gotta be able to control it and just slow.
Yeah, and I think going off that, MJ tries to force shots too much. I think he's kind of tried to force being the leader of this team a little too much instead of it being a natural thing. So we definitely saw that along the season a lot, but also in the Georgia Tech game when we were down by 6-4, he was just throwing up threes without any offense going anywhere, and that cost us.
Yeah, Florida State's really lacking a leader, and the thing with, you go back last year, you had Trent Forrest. There's used to be a Terrence Mann. Right now, Florida State, it seems like, doesn't have a true leader at the beginning of the season. MJ was rolling. I mean, the threes were just coming to him like it was a nothing. But right now, Florida State heading into the biggest time of the year, heading into tournament season, and they're going to bring it all when we get to the game on Saturday. Florida State needs a leader. Who I'm just wondering, going to Arya, who do you think? Looking at the ACC tournament right now, it just seems like, they're kind of down right now. Who's going to show up and be a leader, both just on the playing field, but also being, talkative?
Yeah, in 2 parts, because I kind of do want to, before I answer that too, Logan, the turnover thing, I think VZ hit it on the head. It is one of those things that just kind of is what it is. Like, you don't have a true guard on the team. And I mean, I know one of you brought up MJ. MJ's best basketball came last season when he didn't have to have a high usage rate with the ball in his hand. Like it was catch and shoot threes. If he had a straight line drive to the basket, he would take it. But like they had really beaten to his head about simplifying his game. And I think this season it's kind of gone back to, well, we don't really have an answer. So MJ tries to create, and that's just never been the strongest part of his game. I actually think Florida needs to shoot the 3 ball more. Like I don't think we need to run offense. Like we don't have the point guard that can move the basketball around like Trent, get to a spot and kick. This team should not be shooting only 15 threes in a ball game. We're top 15 in the country in 3-point percentage. I'm not really sure why we only attempted 15. We made 8 of them. I'd like to see us attempt 25. And you know what? When shots go up, guess what's not happening? Turnovers. Because you know what else has been our second best offense of the year? It's been offensive rebounds. It's been going back up and getting the basketball. We're actually top 15 in the country in offensive rebound rate. So I think that's on Ham to kind of like reiterate to the team what our strengths are. He always says in these Zooms, right? It's about doing what you do best more so than the matchup with the other team. It's about being who you are. Well, who we are is a 3-point shooting team and an offensive rebounding team. We can't really hang our hat on defense this year. It hasn't been a team that can just shut you down in the half court because we're not really creating turnovers. So you're not going to really have a whole lot of ugly wins the way that we've had in the past. But that also is something I just like. We can't go 8 of 15 from 3. I don't understand how only 15 shots. Creighton, who shoots the ball really well, Baylor, who shoots the ball really well, they attempt a ton of them because that's really good offense for them. And so I actually want to see MJ shoot the basketball more. When he was coming off of those screens and, they're rolling him off the screens, why wouldn't he just roll off the catch, shoot the basketball? Like, I don't understand.
The thing with MJ that gets me, though, is that if he's not confident in his shot, he's not hitting. MJ has got to be confident in his shot. And when he's not confident in his shot, he will hit absolutely nothing. He's got to see a few go in, like on senior night when we were watching him go off and he had those 4 threes, just boom, 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 like that. You knew his confidence was way through the roof. And if MJ's confidence isn't through the roof, it doesn't raise the confidence around the rest of his team. And I think that's where my, question in leadership
Yeah.
Is
100%. And to answer Logan's question, I'm not sure this team has that bona fide Trent Forrest T-man type of leader. Like, that's just not Brian Angola Rodas. I thought was a great leader, and that's another one of those guys that kind of emerged in March in that run where the Noles beat Xavier. But like this team, I'm not sure. Turk's personality is more kind of like calm demeanored, lead by a calming force example. Malik Osborne might have to be your leader. It's been nice to see him kind of get healthier because he makes a difference when he's healthy. But Scotty, it might have to be Scotty, y'all. Like the 18-year-old trying to tell a bunch of 22-year-olds or 21-year-olds how to play, or trying to be the emotional leader, maybe a little uncomfortable, but Scotty's about to be a millionaire, and it might be up to him to kind of be the alpha of that team. So, Logan, to answer your question about leadership, it might have to come down to Scotty, because him and Osborne probably have that personality. At least they're the best fits to be able to carry you in March. I'm not sure anyone else. It's not MJ. Like, we all agree, I think, all of us on this panel, MJ's personality has never been the alpha. Like, he's not an alpha. He's more of a, I'm going to play on the backs of a couple of other guys who are playing really well, and when it's all going good, we're all really good. So
yeah, and not only from a leadership perspective, but just playing the game. Didn't he start out the game? If I'm wrong here, correct me, Austin. But didn't he start out the game 3 for 3 from 3, and then missed his last 2 at the end of the game, just trying to like force it? But when the ball was getting rotated and found him in the corner, I mean, he was hitting on Saturday night. And then at the very end of the game, we'd come down with 25 seconds left on the shot clock, and he'd jack one up really quick, and it it obviously didn't go very well there. But I mean, not only from a leadership perspective, but also just like letting the game come to him, because when he is open in the corner, we've passed the ball around and moved it against his own. I mean, he hits really well then, so it's kind of like you'd like to see him do that, which again, he did for most of the game when he wasn't turning the ball over. And then the last minute was desperation. So, I mean, he could be a good player when he does let it come to him, both from a leadership and a play perspective.
Florida State has 2 really good sets for trying to get these shooters open. And Hamilton's done a great job of developing these sets because we didn't really have them with PJ. But we've got this chase action where you set 3 screens on the baseline and MJ just runs through all of them. Catches it. We saw it a couple times last night, but instead of just sitting, turning, popping, he's trying to drive in the middle. And in Georgia Tech's defense, when you're driving on 3 defenders, you can't do that. You just got to take that shot and hope you get a rebound. And then you've also got the set called Floppy, where they put both of the guards on the block, set screens for each other, and they run off of it. Same thing, shot, or you can drive. Those work. Those work really well, especially for a guy like MJ, for a guy like Polite, for a guy like Calhoun, who I think is going to be huge these next few weeks. If they're just shooting off of those, like already mentioned, you're getting these offensive rebounds, you're getting these threes. I'm not so certain that taking 25 to 30 threes is what this team needs, because we saw it, at Clemson against Gardner-Webb. The offense just looks clunky when they're just sitting back there just firing away. But when they're working for these shots, they're moving through screens and working for these open looks. I think 18 to 24, I think anywhere in that range is the perfect amount for this team to get your offensive rebounds and still get your open shots. But yeah,
my bad, Austin. Good.
No, you're good. I was just finishing saying,
I was just saying,
off of screens, it works.
Yeah, what HS2613 was saying, he's like pick and roll off Balsa, and that works. That seems to work very well, and I think we've all noticed that works very well, because then you provide another option on the roll there, even on the roll and pop back out for Balsa, because he's shown that he's got a little bit of range, not only range, but he's got handles as well. He can get to the basket on his own at 7'1" or however tall he is. So I mean, I don't know why we don't utilize that more. I guess it comes down to, I know Austin, maybe it was you who had mentioned it, but or no, it was Arya who mentioned, some of this comes down on Coach Ham when it came to like, fouls or things of that nature. So I think we're going to see coaching pick up a little bit here too, and it's going to be a lot tighter of a leash instead of, hey, we're waiting and seeing. No, we can't do that anymore. So like, if we're rolling with something, we're going to have to keep rolling with that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into what we got coming up here, guys. And our first game here is against UNC Greensboro. And they've got a kid that Marshall would like to highlight real quick before we go ahead and get going. So, Marshall, I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
All right. I haven't got to watch any film of these guys yet, but just a stat line. They have one guy on their team that reminds me of a lot of just on the stat line alone, a lot of like John Morant type, just the only player they really have. A little 6-foot guard averaging 19.3 points per game. And I know Ham usually has a pretty good game plan with these one player heavy teams. So I'm not extremely worried about this game, but we are kind of on a skid, and this team's kind of getting really hot. So what are y'all's thoughts on the matchup for this game, and do you have any concerns going into it?
So as we all sit here right now, I'm watching their SoCon championship game against Mercer. They're not good. It's not your usual mid-major team where, they're really good at shooting threes. They've got a fast tempo. They're really trying to really force the pace. They slow it down. They press. They've got this one guy, Isaiah Miller, like Marshall mentioned, that's just leads the team in points, steals, rebounds, assists. He's second in blocks. Leads the team in free throw attempts. He's just everywhere. But then outside the team, they've got guys that take a lot of threes, but not a lot of guys that make a lot of threes. They got really, if they're not getting points off of turnovers, they average about 16 a game off of turnovers. If they're not getting that, it's a really slow, really clunky offense. A lot of standing still. They don't really get to the free throw line a ton, which is one thing you have to look forward to if you're FSU. You don't have to worry about them getting 28 free throw attempts like Georgia Tech did. But they're okay. As long as you can limit Isaiah Miller, who, he's got a very John Morant-like impact. I wouldn't be surprised if we have the same game plan towards Miller that we did in Morant a couple years ago, where we just say, you can score all you want, but we're going to shut everybody else down. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that similar thing.
Yeah, he's definitely the guy that catches everybody's eye and that everybody's talking about right now, right? Everybody wants to find that, that Steph Curry, that Ja Morant, that, the high scorer on a mid-major team, and he's really good. And I think he's been Defensive Player of the Year a couple times, Conference Player of the Year this year. So he's definitely well-respected in his league, but that's in that league. He'd be a solid player in the ACC, but, he wouldn't be getting those kind of accolades. But kind of like Austin said, I haven't watched much of them, but I read up on them a little bit. It's a team we should beat, right? It's a team that if we don't make it to the round of 32, then you look and like, what the heck was this season? Because we saw our peak, when we played NC State, Louisville, Virginia, especially out of that second pause where, especially right out of that second pause, like, man, this is the Final Four team. These past week and a half, 2 weeks, I've been thinking, man, that floor could be a little lower, but a first round exit would shock me. I think it's 10.5 points is the line right now. It opened at 12. So I think Florida State should be able to cover that, but they should definitely be able to win it. Yeah, it went from 12 to 10.5. Right before I hopped on here, it was at 10.5. Actually, all four seeds were favored by 10.5 when I right before I hopped on here today.
12 is a huge number for March. Like,
it really is.
But in a normal year, I don't think UNC Greensboro is a 13 seed. We've seen so many bid stealers in so many different conferences that in a normal year, they're either the last 14 or first 15. Yeah, it's been a really weird year. I'm just happy we didn't have to play Winthrop. We didn't have to play Abilene Christian, who leads the country in forced turnover rate. We didn't get either of those teams. I'm perfectly happy with who we got.
Yeah, and I love the bracket, but I'll pass it to someone else. But kind of to echo what Austin said, this game, it shouldn't worry us. Again, this is March. Upsets happen. It could be us. We've seen it before. In high school, I was a huge Syracuse fan. I remember Vermont knocking us off when they were a 13 seed. It happens. Hopefully it doesn't to us. And let's get to the weekend and then get to the Sweet 16.
I actually have a funny story and a connection to UNCG. So one of my good buddies, his mom is the athletic director at UNCG. So,
shit.
Her name's Kim Record, and she actually was a former Florida State senior administrator. Like, she was in the athletics department at FSU. Josh and I have, kind of grew up together and went to, high school friends and all that. They're actually, he's bummed. He's a diehard Florida State basketball fan. Like, he follows you guys and all that, and listens to podcasts and stuff. And he is not looking forward to being in Indy, having to, support mom with UNCG gear on and in part Florida State's beating. And I'm talking, this is a diehard Florida State basketball family. It's going to be hilarious. But as a result, me and our friend group, we've kept tabs on UNCG, and that's kind of been one of our teams that we kind of pull for. If we do some betting, we might pull for them a little bit, and they usually come through for us in their conference. But I've watched them a little bit this year. Zay Miller is a superstar. He is high usage. I actually think only 4 or 5 players in the country have the ball in their hands more than Isaiah Miller does for his basketball team. So the Ja Morant comparison I like. Ja's Ja. He's not a Ja Morant. There's a reason Ja's
Yeah.
Jaw's the best coach I've ever seen,
Yeah,
in person. He's insane.
Ja had me
Built different. Built different.
Minutes against us because he was hitting step back threes, and I'm like, well, if he does this, he's going to single-handedly keep him in it. But Zay Miller's not that, but he is a beast. He does remind me of. Do you guys remember last year? Was it the first game of the year? VZ, who did we play? And that one kid just balled out on us. They're in the same conference.
In the Pitt game?
No. First home game, Western Carolina, right?
They took. We lost by we won by a very.
Yeah, but he had like 36.
Whoever
something crazy. I forget his name.
Yeah, same small kid, can get to the rim, finishes. The kid plays with a swagger. Like he dropped I think like 18 against Kansas. He scored 26 against NC State. Like he won't be afraid of us, and we can't guard him. I'm going to be real honest with you. I think Polite will give him a tough time, but he's like Jose Alvarado in that if he's penetrating and getting to the rim, which you can against FSU's half court defense, just because we're bigger guards, he's going to have his points. I like VZ's idea of just like let him do what he's got to do. Make sure nobody else has a superstar day alongside of him, and they also feed off of him. UNCG plays with a confidence about them. They crash the glass a lot like UNC does. The difference between them and UNC is UNC has like 4 or 5, 6'9" to 6'11" 5-stars, and UNCG does not. But they do make it an emphasis to get to the boards. We are not a good defensive rebounding team. This season we have been very poor, partly because of the way we play the scheme defensively, and we kind of get high up in the gaps. Part of it has been, a little bit of a lack from the guards of focusing on going up and getting the boards. So I hope that's in the game plan because UNCG will try and go and clean their misses. They do that really well for a mid-major. They force a lot of turnovers, which scares me, man. Like they emphasize it's a part of their identity is to try and get up India and make life miserable. We can't put them on the free throw line. They don't get there, but we have put a lot of teams on the free throw line that don't get there over the years. And
can we combat their turnovers with our length? Can we combat that with turnovers on our own?
And I was talking to Josh, my buddy, whose mom is Kim, and they haven't faced anybody that has Florida State's like length and athleticism in probably 2 years. Like this year they didn't get any opportunities against, I think, Power 5. I think I read VC's article the other night.
They only had one out of conference game this year, and it was Elon.
Right.
And they haven't played anybody since NC State of December of 2019. And even last year they only played NC State and Kansas. That was it.
100%. So this is the type of game, y'all. We cannot be like 10 minutes left in the ball game, and this team has confidence. Like if we're under under 8 media timeout in the second half, and we're in a close game, like that's when I'm a little worried that this team at that point believes it can win. FSU needs to like impose its will. You got to put Scotty in the post a little bit, let him go to work, and go crash the glass against them too, because we have the ability to run them out of the gym if we play our game. If we don't turn the ball over 23 times, y'all, we can't turn the ball over 37% of possessions. Like we shot 50-something% against Georgia Tech, 53% from 3, and 37% of our possessions don't end in a shot going up. Like that's inexcusable. That can't happen. We pretty much gave Georgia Tech the basketball game. And so like, if you allow that to happen again, we're going to be sweating it out in that first round. So that's kind of the little lowdown on UNCG. They are a good basketball team, but they are not, as VZ said, they're not a great basketball team. And they've actually had better UNCG teams in the past. Like Wes Miller, if you guys remember Wes Miller, he played at UNC. He was a 3-point marksman for UNC. And he was actually a finalist for the Wake Forest job last year with Forbes, who ended up getting it. So Miller's, I think, holding out hope when Roy calls it quits that Miller's the choice for to go to Chapel Hill. But I really like him as a coach. He is so smart. He's really good at what he does, and he's part of the reason why they've been the best team in the SoCon. It feels like for a few years now. So they're not the 13 that I would have chose if I was picking of all the 13s, but they're also not the worst team FSU could have got. So
the last time they were in the tournament was 2018, and they only lost to Gonzaga by 4 in the first round. So they're going to bring it.
these past couple of years, they've had to play Eastern Tennessee State, which he's Steve Forbes at Wake Forest. Then you had Mike Young at Wofford. He's not Virginia Tech. Like, they've had some good competition to SoCon the last few years. It's dropped off this year because these guys have gone to the ACC and they've taken transfers with them. But it's not like a team that hasn't been there and hasn't done it.
Mm-hmm. They play with swagger, y'all. Like, they play confidently. They play off of each other. They have a good culture there too. You just cannot give them opportunities. And if we're under 8 media timeout second half and it's a close game, I'm not going to be drinking water. I promise you that. There'll be something.
That's what I'm worried about, though, because it seems like Florida State, like we were talking about earlier, who's that alpha? Who's the big time leader? And it seemed like, this team has been quiet. There's not a chirpy guy right now for FSU. I know Gray will step up for his teammates, and I'm not going to mess with Gray any day of the week. But that's what worries me. If a team gets hot like this and Florida State is still struggling, they're not there mentally. That's when we'll be drinking a lot more liquor than just regular beer.
And that's a good point, Logan, and a question that we haven't really had answered all year for the most part. Obviously, Scotty's had some nice buzzer beaters going, coast to coast. But if we get late in a game, we need a bucket. Last year we could have looked to like a Trent Forrest to at least make something happen and create. Who's that guy that you put the ball in his hands this year and say, all right, we need a bucket, either go score or set somebody else up? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, it's not only Matt either. Go ahead, TJ.
That pissed me off most,
or who is going?
I'll go real quick. The thing that pissed me off most in the Georgia Tech game is they just see a body and stop. I mean, we saw it so much. They're getting in transition. Someone steps in front of them and says, okay, let me just wait for the rest of the offense. Just go. Create something. Create a foul. Even if it's an offensive foul, I don't care. Just get something. Get them out of the rhythm, especially against a team like Georgia Tech that when they get in their defensive set, they're not moving. If you just go out of their set, you at least get something. And we got to see that with Scotty, where Scotty and Turk, really. Even if they see a body in front of them, you're bigger, faster, stronger than almost everybody that's guarding you. Just go. Just try and get a layup, try and get a shot. If it doesn't go in, you get an offensive rebound. Just go.
Well, Justin and Jake, I want to kind of slide it over to you because you guys are more from the student section perspective, and you guys see how we act on our home floor compared to when we act away from our home floor. And I think that's kind of going to bite us in the ass a little bit now that we're heading up to Indiana, because we don't play well in Indiana, period. Anytime we go up there, we don't play well. Like, it just doesn't happen. And I don't care if we're playing an Indiana team or not. Like, is that going to be an impact on us? And who do you guys see as, somebody who needs to step up now?
Yeah, it's tough. The Tucker Center is electric. You heard it from Jay Billis last year. You heard it from every ESPN analyst or analyst in general who came and watched us. Even this season with COVID and reduced capacity against Virginia and other big teams, we were really loud in there. And obviously those teams practice in the tuck, FSU practices in the tuck constantly. They know the rims, they know the court, they know where they can hit their shots. But as we've all seen this year, they suck on the road. They're not good. And another thing is we like to play down to our competition this season, which is tough. We saw it at Wake Forest at home earlier this season. We saw it against Notre Dame. We've seen it against Georgia Tech twice. So that's another scary thing that might hurt us in the tournament.
And it's weird because it's not.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
I don't know, like how he said, like, since we all know that we obviously, like, we're not unbeatable at home at the Tuck, but, like, in the past 3-4 years, we've lost them, like, 5 or 6 games, which is unheard of. Like, I don't think it's going to be that big of a factor going into the tournament because since it is a neutral site, both teams are unfamiliar, and that's why I think that we have a lot of this, like, uncomfortableness around the fact that, like, when we go somewhere else, because, like, we're not used to it, but since the other team isn't used to it as well, I think it balances each other out. But also, like, at home, like, when we're in the student section, even though it's different this year, like, I think the guys they like playing in front of that home crowd. They like knowing that they have fans in the stands. So when we're at the tournament, since there might not be a lot this year, but there is going to be fans. Like, there is, like, an extra like reason for them to, like, be hyped to play. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be that much of an issue in the neutral site.
And I don't even think we've sucked on the road all season. I mean, we saw at Louisville just dominated, lit up nets. Same with at Pitt, we didn't really light up nets. We still performed.
But there were
well.
rare occasions, DZ. There were rare occasions, though.
It was 50-50 because we didn't play a ton of road games. That's the biggest thing. We only played, 7 road games?
Because
at Miami,
or more got canceled.
It's it's tough to get a gauge on a team when they've only played 7 games away from home. I guess 9 technically with the ACC tournament. And the thing with the Tuck is, I don't know if you guys have actually stood like on the court and looked around. The lighting in there sucks. If you're not used to it, it's a weird place to play. The lighting's horrible, and Florida State's just used to it, and that's why they're so good at home. Because some of these other teams, they go to take a shot and they're blinded by these horrible lights that are 40 years old.
Austin, we're not as cool as
I'm
you,
just
and being able
saying.
to get on the court and like you getting your your IG pictures.
I'm just saying, the lighting's horrible.
Super subtle flex. I don't know if you guys have
I mean,
ever sat where I've sat, but
yeah.
listen
If
to
you've ever
how
rushed the court,
this-
the lighting sucks.
Thank you for the those kind of people. I just had to throw that out there. Thanks for that.
So before we keep going, there's a question that I needed to ask you guys that I really wanted to know. Like before we keep going to the tournament, so like after watching like, the whole ACC championship final, like did you guys watch like the trophy presentation or anything?
So I was at the game and I left with 2 seconds left. I'm like,
I
I refuse to watch Jose Alvarado be happy. I can't.
I immediately turned my
Exactly,
TV off.
exactly.
No, my TV was off the second that the game was over. Like,
All
I'm
right,
done.
so
I'm going to bed.
I was at TPC, so like all day I had been drinking, and by the time the end of that game came around, I was already asleep. So I had nothing to even care about that game. Like it was just like if we win, we win. If we lose, it's not really gonna matter.
But I don't know, like those
Go
who
ahead.
didn't see,
That's
like,
all
did you see Jose Alvarado's like ridiculous celebration, swimming in the balloons, like crying, yelling on the TV?
I thought I was watching The Bachelor. Like that's what I thought I was watching. You guys brought that up earlier. Like that's really what it seemed like. It was so dramatic. Like, oh gosh.
Was it really?
anything
Was it
shows-
really like that?
If anything
Yeah,
shows why
like-
Georgia Tech doesn't belong, it was that.
It was
He's just-
horrible.
he's
The
just like
balloons
that.
came down. He was swimming, like he was like yelling, like shouting out his family, his daughter, like he won like the national championship, like. And then you have his coach, who's just like the biggest doofus in the world. Like I like him because he's so funny, like not on purpose. Like I don't know, like he started the game and interviewed him. He's like, "Oh, let's get Leonard Hamilton in the Hall of Fame." Then he ends it by saying that again and like saying hi to every like commentator, everyone who's like announcing the game, like saying thank you to all them. Like the guy's just a dude.
Yeah, well, you remember how he started the year, right? He had the fucking COVID ball or
Oh my
whatever.
God.
You remember that?
Well, they started the year with 2 horrible losses to Mercer and Georgia State, and everyone's thinking Pat's will not make it.
Practices. They did
Yeah,
they didn't have
but-
contact practices. I'm like, what are you doing?
Everyone's like,
guys
Pastor may
like-
not make it out of December, and then he goes on and win the ACC. I mean, credit to him, but man, I couldn't. They're a good team. Like everyone that's saying, "Oh my God, we lost to Georgia Tech." They're a good team.
Yeah, but
It's a very
each of their
experienced
players,
team.
like their starters, play like 32 minutes plus. Like that, like
Yeah.
that's hard to do. So
And Moses Wright going on from walk-on tennis player to ACC player of the year, like that's incredible.
They're
Yeah, that's
they're a
also
Diet
what's
Coke version. They're a Diet Coke version of Florida State's team in 18-19 with all those seniors. Like that's how I liken it. You're like keto Florida State in 2018-19 because they're like the 4th most experienced team in the country. Like they have a ton of seniors. So ironically, another story. Josh Pastner and I actually know each other. He brought me up to do some of his his ACC Network extra games.
and here we are dogging on him right in front of
No,
our
no, I
audience.
Like
hilarious.
one of my closest cousins is a Georgia Tech booster. So like I called him immediately after and was like, all right, because he texted me the night before and he goes, "What do you think?" I said, "Noles by 10." And he immediately had words for me as soon as that game ended. And so I congratulated him. I said, "It's been a long time since you could enjoy Georgia Tech basketball. I get it. I'm happy for you." He's one of those guys that would wear like the white furry hair or whatever the crazy Georgia Tech fans
Oh
that
my
they used to have.
God.
Yeah, he's a diehard. So like I was happy for them. And I'm happy for that program just because, I mean, I've been able to go there and they've given me the tour and I was covering their games when they weren't very good, but a lot of these guys are still there, Alvarado and Wright and Usher and DeVoe. So I was really happy for them, but like, I'll be honest, I was pissed. I was like, no, this is our time. We're supposed to hang another freaking banner. This was we had 2 shots at another banner and we blew both of them. So I was in a really shitty mood.
That was the
But
first time I've been mad at a basketball game since Michigan. I was so
I was
mad.
angry. I was like, I was watching with my father, like, who lives in town in Tally, and I went home to watch with him, and we're both cursing up a storm, and he's 65 and wants to punch his 80-inch television, and I'm like having to hold him back. Like, dude, you do not want to pay $2,000 for another TV. Like, let's let it go. Let's let it go.
All right, you need to tell Pastner that he needs to wear that face shield next season as well. Like that's his good luck charm, because that face shield on the sideline is an amazing look, and I love watching that.
It's beat us twice. So
He looks like a discount insurance salesman, man. Like, he looks like he's trying to sell me like cheap insurance. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what are we doing here?
The only thing is that shield, it looks like it hasn't been washed since October. That thing is filthy.
Nah, he's got one shield. It's his lucky shield. He definitely says, like, good morning and good night to it. Like, the guy's hilarious.
That thing has like 17 strains of viruses on it, man. Are you kidding? What in the world is on that?
The best is when, like,
he has every variant of that virus is on that face shield.
The best is when he raises it up and it's like pointing out like this, and you're just like, okay, what's even the point at this time? Like, you know, it's like you know.
I get what he's going for, because he wants to see, the team needs to see what he's saying. But you can go the Coach Gates route, where he actually has like an actual mask, but it's clear and it's got the foam. Just do that. Like, what's the point of the mask that's sitting right here?
But that's the point. Josh Coster's just like this like random dude, which makes like like all the more infuriating. Because like I want to root for them in the tournament, even though they beat us. Like, Moses Wright has a great story. His walk on, nobody offered him. Josh Coster is hilarious, but like I can't do it because I just hate Jose Alvarado so much. Like, the guy.
Yeah. So is that like a round table agreement right now that we all cannot stand that kid, like, with a passion?
I was listening
if he played for us, I would love him, but because he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
I was listening to College Basketball, which is hosted by a couple guys on CBS, and they're like, man, how can you not like Jose Alvarado? I'm like, are we watching the same Jose Alvarado? Like, how can you?
My favorite part, we're watching the game Saturday night with my wife, and she's just on the couch, like on her phone, and then she just glances at the TV screen. She's like, that's that Alvarado guy, isn't it? She's like, I hate him. Because she remembered him from the last time he played. And I'm like, yeah, babe, that's the same guy, and I hate him too, just so you know.
Do you guys hate him more or Pastner's sideburns more?
I kind of like Pastner, man. I kind of like
him, but the sideburns.
Pastner's just a dork. Like, he's just a nerd, man.
Now let's
like,
be honest.
He's that's just him.
Let's be honest. He's a piece of shit after that voicemail that we heard for 3 minutes. So sorry. That I went from liking him for saying some kind words about Coach Ham. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, dude, this guy's actually pretty nice. Look at this, guys. He's talking about Coach Ham, and I'm like looking up at the screen. And 3 minutes.
Imagine having to wait that long. I'd be like, dude. I mean, now you just
never call him.
Hang up a text, but
yeah. To be fair to his Hall of Fame Leonard Hamilton thing, I think every ACC coach has said that this year, and he didn't want to feel left out. Like, oh man, Roy Williams said, I think I have to as well.
Coach K say that?
I mean, we didn't play them, so
no. Roy was the one who
said it.
Roy
said it,
one.
and I think Larinaga said it too.
Yeah, well, to be fair, if we had played Duke, Coach K would have came to the locker room and congratulated everybody and said, Ham deserves to be in the Hall of Fame immediately, right after the game, because that's just what he does when he loses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And while I got you guys here too, can I just say to Justin and Jake, you guys, thank you so much for what you guys have done, to the student section and the Nole Zone and all that. That's amazing. Just like me being a student back in like 2012 to 2017, it wasn't like that. You guys have definitely created an atmosphere at the Tuck that is needed. Every great basketball program has, a great student section. And I hope to God they move you guys to get you guys better seats if they can, because I know you deserve it. And you know what? So I just wanted to say that to you guys. You guys create an energy, and even the Boston College game when you guys are, not given full capacity and you're dogging on the poor kid who came out to shoot warm-ups. And you guys are leading the chants. Every single shot he missed, you guys got the entire arena yelling at him. It was fantastic, and keep it up because this program needs you guys. Florida State basketball needs what you guys are doing, and it truly is teamwork. As good as they are on the court, you guys have been excellent. So keep it up, man. Congratulations, and I want to say thanks to you guys too.
Yeah, thanks, Ari. I appreciate the compliment. That means a lot coming from you, especially. The past 2 seasons have been a lot of fun. It's been tough this year with COVID. We've obviously made the best of it. Our T-shirt got on the ESPN commercial before the ACC championship. I think MJ's mom bought one from us, so that was pretty exciting, a New Blood shirt. But it's still been high energy this season in the Tuck. We're trying to do the best we can, and if we can get in one of their players' heads, that's a good day for us. And that usually happens. I can point out definitely in the Virginia game, Jay Huff, he was pretty upset at us, so I'm happy about that. It's been a great season, and hopefully we'll be back to normal next season and can do a lot more.
And he was dog shit against us, so you did your job.
Yep.
Absolutely, you did your job, man.
I saw the changes firsthand because I remember in the 16-17 season, the XRM John Isaac year, the student section was it was okay. Like they were there, but they were just kind of sitting there like, oh, it's just another game. By the time I graduated in 19, and we have all these big home games, even the Duke game, it was so electric. Even though we lost, it was just such a great atmosphere, and it was all season. And of course, the Louisville game, everyone was rowdy that game. But it's gone such a long way these last 4 years. It's not just a testament to the program, but the students, the fans themselves. They've come a long way these last 4 seasons.
Yeah, so Marshall and I started off sitting in 216. That was our spot over there at 216.
Splash zone, baby.
Yeah, we call it a splash zone. It was the guys who used to wear the ponchos, and it's it was cool. But yeah, it was splash zone because we all would drink pretty heavily during those games. It was fun.
And beer would be sprayed everywhere when it got crazy.
So yeah, I've seen it grown too. I graduated in 2018, so that was 3 years ago. So I've continuously grown, just even going to basketball games, being a fan myself, and, seeing from where it came from when I was first in college and attending basketball games, and like it was not loud at all. And we were just there to drink. We weren't there to watch a basketball game. We were just there to drink. And now we came so much further now, and it's like everybody's into it. Like it starts with the student section. Like I don't remember what was it? Maybe it was Louisville. I don't remember. And the whole student section's packed like an hour and 20 minutes before the rest of the game even starts, and the rest of the stadium doesn't even get packed till like 10 minutes afterwards. And that's cool and all, but like the fact that you could see that change in the student section just be there. I mean, we're filling up not only that back area from 216 over to the other side, but that double bowl up on the top too of the Civic Center. It has been great to see that the students are just buying in. They're buying into what you guys are doing as a student section, and we appreciate it. And you guys are starting to grow yourselves too, and it's awesome. We love it.
It's really crazy if you think about the downfall of the football program and the upswing of the basketball program, kind of a reciprocal effect. Yeah. I feel like all the energy has just shifted to the Tuck on campus. You know what I mean? And now that's where everyone goes to go get crazy and to go watch a good game, and just have that energy that we used to have in Doak that we just don't have.
And it's not the biggest, but damn, does that shit not bring some noise, man? I swear, when we were playing Duke, and that's when Grayson Allen's bitch ass. That's when Grayson Allen's bitch ass was still there. And every single time that motherfucker touched the ball, I swear it's the loudest thing. I was at the game, but I had my stepdad watching it on the TV, and he's like, you guys can hear you boo. And every time you guys start the fuck you Grayson chant, you can hear it on TV. He's like, you can like blatantly hear it on TV.
So funny story about that game. I'm born and raised in Jacksonville. I went to school with Grayson for 6 or 7 years. My mom's really good friends with his family.
God.
Our entire church came to that game.
Oh, no.
I look over because I always sat on the opposing bench's baseline. I look over, and right behind the bench are both of his parents. I'm like, I'm so sorry. They were so miserable. I felt so bad.
Those chants were loud, dude. Like you had to have been able to hear it.
The funny thing was, I talked to them at the Duke game next year because I went to travel at Duke, and they're like, that wasn't that bad. Louisville was a lot worse. Like, how?
I was gonna mention to Caleb and some of the younger guys here, at least in Tallahassee. I mean, you go to all these football games, but you go to basketball games, it hits differently with the women too. I mean, I'm young, I'm still single. I know a lot of y'all are married. We got the rings on and everything, but there's a lot of attractive women that go to the games too. So if anybody's contemplating not going to them, I don't know what you're doing, because this
What, are
week,
you just trying to
this
entice
year,
people to go to basketball games now? Look,
I am. Well, I'm also
I mean-
wondering. Austin went to every single game and hasn't had a girlfriend yet, so I'm
All right.
trying to figure out
Honestly,
what the
yeah.
problem's been going on there. And you're on, and like you said,
Logan?
you're on the court, so you're on the court, so they
It
have that
worked when I
flex.
was there.
What'd you
worked when I
say,
was
Air?
there.
What'd you say, Arya? What's
I
going
said,
on?
hey, I said Logan will make you a podcast if you guys. If
Maybe.
He's got a podcast, man.
We'll think about it. Well, that is true. We'll think about it though for
But
Austin.
seriously,
We'll think about it.
guys, like the tailgating that I've been seeing, like this didn't happen when I was in school. Seeing kids go to Pots on a Friday wearing hoops jerseys, like that gets me hyped. Like it excites me, and like it's amazing, right? Like kids are proud of the basketball program, and that is the biggest cultural shift from when I was like a sophomore in school and seeing it now. Like people talk about hoops, and just to see the social media engagement and like all my friends, and you know, Logan, you mentioned females, but like girls talk about the basketball team, and I'm like, they're the superstars now, and it's awesome. Like it gets me so hyped. I'm just because I remember where it was. I remember being the only one who cared and feeling like I had to pull people to the games and had to tell them, hey, there's beer there, and then that was the selling point. Like kids be like, I guess
I remember my first
That's why I
year.
used to go. I used to go just to drink.
Right. You were like $10 for a beer? Why not? Whatever.
See, I'm the old guy on the podcast here, right? I'm 33. I was at Florida State from 06 to 09. And I had a small group of maybe like 6 friends. And we have a group chat now, like of just my basketball buddies that we went to all the games with. And we used to tailgate on top of the parking garage across from the Tuck. So if you guys know what I'm talking about, we'd get there like 2 hours early, go there, drink it up, go to the game. After the game, go to Potts or somewhere else. And I'm jealous because I wish I could be a student now, because I loved going to football games, but we were terrible when I was there. I think we were 6-6 3 of the 4 years I was at Florida State. I was at Florida State the 4 Tebow years. But the basketball team, even though we weren't great, we could see the progress we were making, and we made the tournament my last 2 years at Florida State. And man, it was a blast. But yeah, we used to tailgate on top of the parking garage across from the Tucker Center. So Jake and Justin, I was on the board of directors for the Nole Zone. I was there with a lot of my good friends. So I love what you two are doing, and keep it up. We need to keep it going for just while you guys are here, but beyond that, recruiting younger people, recruiting the freshman basketball fans, and get them into it, because it's a lot of fun if you're into it. And I could not imagine going to Florida State with a basketball team that lost 5 games in 4 years.
Definitely, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we appreciate the compliments, Richie, and everyone else. Like I said, when it goes back to normal, we're gonna try and explode. This year, we've really tried to hype up our social media engagement. We have a really great graphic designer this year, Tyler Mixon. He's keeping it very similar and keeping the graphics like in tune with one another, so the page isn't just all over the place like it was our first year. So our engagement is way up. We're going to do a ton of giveaways with other accounts coming up, and then we have our student section leaders. We have a guy who painted a stormtrooper costume, garnet and gold, and we've had fans come up to him throughout the season asking for pictures, little kids, grown adults. So that's pretty awesome to see. And then we have our own kind of garnet and gold guys, but they're in hazmat suits for COVID. So it's been pretty awesome. when you get these kind of people together in one group, we kind of bounce off each other's energy, and it makes it a really fun time.
Yeah, and going off what Jake said, like we're all really appreciative, like of all the comments and like people taking notice. Like the original goal, like of the founder of Nole Zone, Angeline, was to like spread across to all the different sports. Like we kind of started to do that. Like we've been going to a little bit of the girls' basketball games. Like I don't know if anyone watching or listening right now like really cares about the women's basketball team, but like they actually are a lot of fun to watch. Like it's not necessarily as explosive as the men's game.
Every single one of them.
Yeah,
Arya's the one.
I agree with everything you're about to say.
Like they're not as explosive, but like it is still fun to watch and go to the games. And like they do really appreciate the like when we went, like they immediately like shouted us out on their social medias. Like they appreciate it. And like for anyone who's interested, like the women's bracket just actually was announced, and women's team is the 9th seed, and they're playing Oregon State in the first round. So that'll be cool to watch too.
Shout out Coach Brooke. I mean, she got a tough situation with
Mhm.
Coach Seuss having to step down for a year. She's done such a phenomenal job this season. And by the time she's ready to take over her own program, she's going to do such a great job because she got thrown into the fire this year and just responded so well.
Yeah, Mo Jones dropped a 36 piece, man. Like I watched Morgan Jones. If you score 36 points in a basketball game, I don't care what level it's at, you were hooping. You were balling.
You
Uh,
balling.
They all
Yeah.
are hooping.
26 points, I think, or 28 points against Louisville, who was ranked top 3 in the country. There is some really fun basketball to be watched, especially when you're good. And Florida State, man, Florida State, Oregon State's a rematch of the, I want to say it's the Sweet 16 back in like 2017. The Noles knocked them off to go to the Elite Eight. So
Is that who we got matched up with tonight?
Yeah.
what's that?
That's who we got matched up with tonight?
Yeah, Oregon State. So it'll be cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, though. Florida State's women's team, they will be extremely good next year. The entire roster comes back. So they should be back to normal. I think they'll have like 5 McDonald's All-Americans on the roster. The talent will be there.
Wow.
So I think Coach Sue's coming back too. So it should be a lot of fun. So I'm pumped for it.
That's hype.
Yeah, that's awesome shit. I love that. That's awesome, hyping up the women at Florida State. We got to do more for them, I think. Obviously, everybody pays attention to softball and soccer because of the national championships and things of that nature. So it's, more paid attention to than so the women's basketball team. But we got to show them some love too. But with that being said, a little bit deeper into our region, guys. I'm going to try and bring this up. I'm not sure if it's going to look weird. So, give me a break if it starts looking weird with 10 of us on one side. But I'm going to try and bring up the bracket in our region and see what we're looking like. Yeah, you guys can't really see us, but we're looking at the bracket right now, guys. A quick little look here. Michigan, obviously 1 seed, 2 Alabama, so 3 Texas. I'm okay with this. Michigan, there's a little bit of leadway when it comes to them, but they are a dominant team. And it sucks that we're in their region or in their, kind of smaller bracket area of the East. I would much rather, have to play Alabama. So I wouldn't have minded being, a little bit further down dropped, but it is what it is here. What are your initial thoughts? And, if we win this game against UNCG, we got to face either Colorado or Georgetown. And then after that, the winner between most likely Michigan and the LSU St. Bonaventure game. So what are your guys' thoughts? I'll start off with Austin since he's probably got the most knowledge and most to say about what is going on in this bracket.
Let's just talk about Michigan first. If you look at the 4-1 seeds, Gonzaga, Baylor, Illinois, Michigan, Michigan's absolutely the team you want to play most. Gonzaga, I don't think anybody's beaten them this year. Illinois has played as well as any team in the last 15 games. I think they've won 14 of the last 15 in the Big Ten. That's impressive. And then Baylor's just been so good all year. You look at Michigan, they just lost Isaiah Livers to a stress fracture. He's probably going to be out for the tournament. They do play a very professional-like system that's a really tough offense to guard. They have a lot of quick early sets to get really easy baskets. But without Isaiah Livers, who's their best three-point shooter, arguably their best player, how good are they going to be in March? We don't know yet. We'll have to see how they look in these first few games. St. Bonaventure, LSU is an oil and water game. LSU is fast-paced, one of the best scoring offenses in the country. St. Bonaventure is slow, one of the best scoring defenses in the country. Colorado and Georgetown both beat up on bad conferences all year. Pac-12 has been abysmal for 5 seasons. And Georgetown, the Big East is notably down for whatever reason. And they got lucky, won their conference tournament. Both teams shoot the three well, but outside of that, they don't get to the free throw line a ton. They don't turn it over a ton. Colorado's really, really good in the pick and roll. I think I'd rather play Georgetown, but I wouldn't be concerned with either. The fact Florida State was the top 4 seed kind of surprised me. And now you get to play the bottom 5 seed in Colorado, who I thought was going to be a 6 to 7 seed. I think Florida State's really happy with where they sit in their bracket.
So TJ's just talking, in the comments now. He just wants to come in because I guess we haven't let him talk. TJ, what did you upgrade yourself?
No. Austin, I didn't want to interrupt.
Whoa.
What did you upgrade yourself to?
Finally.
Austin, I was really – Logan, please don't interrupt. I have a Michter sour mash, so a little whiskey tonight. Austin, please continue. I'm very sorry that Logan interrupted us.
Oh, while we were
I was just saying, if you're Florida State, you really like your bracket. You don't have to play either Illinois, Baylor, or Gonzaga until the Final Four, and specifically Baylor and Gonzaga until the national championship game, potentially. Obviously, some Marching things happen. Bama, I think, is good. Another very professional system where they're either shooting layups or threes. It's very Houston Rockets-esque. They've completely wiped out mid-range shots. Texas, they're hot and cold. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Abilene Christian first game. But I really like Florida State's bracket. I think Florida State should be pretty happy.
I never thought that we'd have to go through Michigan to play Alabama in the tournament. That's kind of like a crazy thing. So that being said, like, I think we're going to sit in a nice little spot if that's the case. But there's a lot of teams that could pop out of there, so we'll see.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty poetic that we could potentially be looking at a matchup with Michigan to get to the Elite Eight because
I need it. I hate Michigan because that 2018 game I still have scars from. The foul in front of our bench that PJ Savoy should have gotten a jump ball. I will fight.
Don't even talk about it. I don't even want to talk about it.
Oh my God.
So Austin, I remember that, man. Like my wife's best friend lives in Chicago, so we were up there visiting, and that was the same night that Loyola Chicago was playing for a chance to go to the Final Four.
And we would have played Loyola.
And they had just won. So we are at the Florida State bar in Chicago. And I'm on my phone looking up flights to Houston because we would have had to play. I think it was in Houston where San Antonio. Yeah, so I think Houston was like $300 cheaper. So either way, I'm looking up flights. I'm like, and we're going to play Loyola. I need to get a hotel and a flight because we're going to beat Loyola. And then, Villanova probably would have beat us if we had made it. Let's be honest. That Villanova team was so freaking good. But yeah, looking at this bracket, as you mentioned, it's favorable. For some reason, Texas seems to be a trendy pick right now. I don't see it. Kind of like Austin said, they could lose to Abilene Christian in the first round. But if we don't beat UNC and then or Greensboro and then Colorado or Georgetown, who would not have sniffed the tournament if they had not won it in the Garden, their conference tournament in the Garden this past week. Yeah, man, Sweet 16 matchup with Michigan. Anything less would be disappointing. And Juwan Howard got kind of heated this past week, and it was kind of cool to see.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a blast, man. But I want Michigan for a chance to go to the Elite Eight, and then if we get past Michigan, I think Final Four should be it. Obviously, it's a crapshoot. It's the tournament. All these games are one-offs. But man, I'm excited about this draw. Like Austin kind of said, if you're a Florida State fan and you're complaining about the draw we have, I don't know what to tell you because we could not have asked for a better one, in my opinion.
I agree with you, Richie. We're very fortunate not to be with Gonzaga like we seem to be every single year. So I was super happy about that. But I don't think we can underestimate Michigan at all. They're very talented. I'm from Toledo, Ohio, so about an hour away from Detroit. So I grew up watching Michigan basketball. I still keep track of them. And the Livers loss is huge, but they do kind of remind me of Florida State basketball. They're a little quicker on offense. They shoot more threes than us, it seems like. But the one thing that's a problem is their big man, Hunter Dickinson. He won Big Ten Freshman of the Year. He's a dominant force down there.
Wanted him bad. We wanted him really, really bad.
Yeah. And I don't know if Balsa can handle him or whoever's playing in the 5 spot because he's a solid offensive player. He's going to be dangerous if we end up facing them in the Sweet 16. But going off that, I think if we beat Michigan, I got us in the Final Four as well.
And most of the time with Hunter Dickinson, they bring him off the bench. So now you're looking at him playing Ingam or Malik Osborne. Man.
Yikes. Not good.
Ingam's got a ton of potential, but he's only been
why is the first name you threw out as Ingam?
Because he's the first off the bench every game.
Yeah, I don't know why. Why is it Malik coming off? Is he still trying to heal from his injury? Or
and they're trying to play him at the 4 more, which I understand. I think he's long-term a 4. But yeah. I think Ingam's got a ton of potential, but he's only been playing basketball for 4 years. Dickinson's an animal. He's so good, especially in the low post. He's got so many moves, so many hook shots, spins. He's so good. But I've been saying for the last month and a half, even without seeing a bracket, Florida State's one of those teams where if they make it out the first weekend, they should be a Final Four team. They've got to get up to that competition. They got to play to their energy, and they can make it. But it's that first weekend that they got to make it past.
So that's a good way to kind of move this along here and say that since we are playing higher competition now, are we gonna play much better than we have, not only in the ACC tournament, but to end the season? Nobody.
I mean, you'd
Cool.
hope so. You'd hope so.
Yeah, I hope so, but we're not really playing better. I mean, like UNC Greensboro is not better than Georgia Tech, So I mean, they're not better.
Yeah,
than North
I'm not
Carolina,
saying that, but
So, like,
I'm not saying that, but like if we get deeper into the tournament.
oh yeah, for sure. That's what I think that goes into what Austin was saying. Is you just got to get out of this first round.
Yeah.
Then once you do that, I think you're in great shape.
It's one of those
Well, I
scenes
don't know
where
about great shape. I don't know about great shape. Michigan's still good, but
yeah, it's one of those scenes where you just look at the name and go, "Oh man, we're playing UNC Greensboro. Come on, man!" Like we saw it 2 years ago when we played Vermont. Vermont was a really good team. They had a really good player in Anthony Lamb, and they gave us the business for most of that game before Fiondu Kabengele finally decided, "Hey, I'm bigger, faster, stronger than literally everybody around me. Let me dunk it on everybody." You got to come out with that energy. You can't say, "Oh man, we're playing UNC Greensboro. Oh man, we're playing Colorado. Who cares?" It's March. Every team can beat you.
Definitely agree, but
quick,
didn't Vermont hit like 15, 17 threes in that game? That was just.
I mean, that's what they are. Like we just
Yeah.
let them take these uncontested threes in transition, and they were killing us. It was what, a 7-point game, 9-point game at the end. I forget.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was just gonna. The one thing that I'm actually like, can we like talk about the X factor here and kind of one of these things that have been thrown in the COVID year that like teams are going to be kind of staying in the same place the entire time. Like I don't, Florida State's not going to be back in Tallahassee, hopefully if you keep your fingers crossed and things go well for a really long time. And FSU went straight from Greensboro to Indianapolis. They didn't come back to Tally before going there. So like the stadiums won't be full. They'll be about, 25% capacity or something or whatever they're going to do. You have this us against the world mentality the entire time. You're bubbled. Everyone's going to kind of just be isolated together with their teammates. So like, it's going to be kind of interesting to see like who can lock in the most and like treat this as much of a business trip as possible. Like you're not going out west. You know how we used to bitch and moan about like FSU having to travel 3 hours out to Anaheim and Gonzaga got to play like in a bus ride and all that stuff. Like that advantage is like not there anymore. It's a completely like neutralized environment. And it's going to come down to like basketball, like good basketball where everyone's going to be playing kind of with like even cards on the table, if you know what I mean. I'm interested to see like who locks in the most. And that's why I think this tournament favors like senior laden groups and like experienced backcourts and teams that are going to be able to kind of focus. And then also like how many teams are going to be eliminated because of COVID. Like I think my predictions, at least 1 or 2 teams are not going to get to play one of their games because of COVID. I hope I'm wrong.
That was my next point, Aria. That was my next point. I didn't necessarily know when that was going to become a conversational tool. But that kind of is, a question that a lot of people had, especially after we saw what happened in the ACC tournament with 2 games getting canceled or not being able to get played. Virginia didn't get to play Georgia Tech, excuse me.
Right.
Forget the other one. Who are we supposed to play?
Duke.
We were supposed to go Duke, so we didn't get to play Duke at all this year.
I think Duke did it on purpose, though.
Yeah, he went to a frat meeting. Did you not hear that?
Duke, yeah, he was frat rush, bro. It's cool. It's fine. Whatever. Like,
And the fact they're allowed to go back to campus anyways, it's horrible. Why were they not supposed to play Greensboro? Well, whatever.
But but quick interruption here for a snipe football tidbit. Jameis Winston re-signing with the Saints on a 1-year deal, $12 million. So Jameis still getting paid.
Not as much as
best QB in that division next year.
Not a doubt.
Time out.
Hey,
TJ shit all season, and he's been hating all season. And then I got all my shit here for my Bucks Super Bowl, and TJ can't let it go.
This is an FSU podcast. I just say be the best. This isn't about what anybody's done the last 20 years. Best quarterback in the division this upcoming season. I don't know why. That's not even that.
You know that, though.
It's not. I just predicted. I have no
dog in this fight. I'm a Kirk Cousins.
Hey, I've been saying for about 4 or 5 years now that JB is going to win a Super Bowl outside of Tampa. I think he's going to do it.
I put $100 on it. I made a bet with somebody in the network that I work with that Jameis will win a Super Bowl. So
Jameis is the all-time leading passer as far as quarterback rating goes in the playoffs. Right, all time. leading passer or QB.
You give
rating.
him a good. You give him a
Yeah,
good coach.
bro.
You give him a good coach and an offensive line.
Yeah, with
That's-
a minimum of
that's
one
all- that's all
pass,
he
I
needs.
believe it.
Good coach, offensive line. Thinks he's
Give him
good
an
coach,
offensive line.
That's it. Never
All
had
right,
a good coach.
back to
Good coach,
basketball,
offensive
guys.
line.
I got to get to the
Richie's getting-
Bachelor. Back to basketball.
Richie's sweating. 'cause he knows.
Yeah, he's over here sweating.
Back.
Which
We're about
Give
14.
me Charlie.
We're about,
Give me Charlie Ward.
Ooh, yeah.
speaking of basketball, we're about 14 minutes past Richie's bedtime, so that's why he's getting a little upset right now. So we can go
Back to basketball.
But
Back to basketball. So
Jake started
So
the podcast
where-
out
where
kind of
do-
sad about Breeze, and now he's happy
Yep.
again, right?
Yeah, I'm happy about it. I would rather have Jameson there than Taysom, to be honest. I think I'm glad we're keeping Taysom around. He's a weapon, as much as people want to nag on him. So I believe he is. He's tough down there in the end zone. You can't stop that QB rush. He's a big boy.
Yeah, but like, is he a weapon or is he like distracting from an actual quarterback? Because who would you rather have be your full-time quarterback?
Jameis for sure.
Exactly, but Taysom's presence there just raised the giant question mark. And if Jameis has a bad game or two, the fan base is going to be all over the coaching staff and the front office to start Taysom. So that could cause a lot of problems.
That's true. We'll see what happens though.
I can't wait to have him in Pittsburgh in
Interesting, but
2022. So I'm excited.
And don't sleep on,
He's coming to me. He's coming.
don't sleep on Mormon
I
Manziel.
don't care about your Pittsburgh picks because you guys will go like 10-2 and then just shit the rest of the season away. So I don't even want to hear any Pittsburgh Steelers talk at all or lose in the first round of the playoffs. That's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Brady has more than 6 fights.
I don't want to tell you.
What are we bragging about here?
Logan just
Forward cheated on.
Logan just turned Richie into a Patriots fan. Like Logan brought up.
Oh no, Richie's a Patriots fan now.
Oh no, I will never root for the Patriots.
Well, Jameis also got that. Jameis also got that LASIK eye surgery in the offseason. I mean, I think 2 years ago. So who knows? We saw him throw that big touchdown
It's
pass
gonna start
against
kicking
Tampa
in.
Bay.
It's gonna start kicking in. The LASIK's gonna start kicking in here soon.
He's
It
not
hasn't
throwing,
already.
he's not throwing at colors anymore. He's throwing at people. So let's see.
Yep.
But yeah, back to our March Madness talk here, guys. So ultimately, if we do end up having to meet Michigan there in the Sweet 16, what are y'all's thoughts? Because I know we kind of touched on it a little bit with Dickerson and Livers being out, but do you think we even have a chance against that Michigan squad? Arya, I'll start with you.
I do. I really do. There'll be some guys, I think, who remember, hearing about the Michigan game when Florida State got beat, and it's a revenge game for sure. I know VZ remembers it well, and it's just the fan base probably more than some of the players. I don't think, VZ, correct me if I'm wrong, is there any player left on this roster that would have been even in the program?
MJ, Wyatt, Raekwon.
Okay, so it wasn't that
The
long ago.
Vipers.
Yeah, you're right.
The Vipers.
Linder.
We have four guys, plus
Yes.
all the walk-ons. Plus all the walk-ons.
Yeah, I was gonna say all like
Guys.
every single walk-on on the team.
Yeah, I'm getting my years mixed up. So absolutely. So yeah,
All the
not
Vipers,
just the
yeah.
fans, the players. But this FSU team, to me, y'all, when we're at our best, like we watched it, we saw it against Virginia. Yeah, we were in the tuck, but that's kind of the recipe, right, for being really good. We defended like badasses that game. We also, I thought, hit some shots. And Leonard's been saying this for a long time now. It's more about who you are in March than who you're playing, right? Who can stick to what they do best. If FSU protects the basketball, like we have good offense. We run good offense. This is the best offensive team Leonard Hamilton has had. I think it's maybe ever. I think it's even better than the one with Al Thornton in efficiency-wise back in 2007. So, like, this is definitely the best shooting basketball team that FSU's ever had in its history, especially when you factor in that they moved the three-point line back. So this is definitely – it's been tougher to hit threes than maybe some teams in the past. If we hit some shots, folks, like I really believe we have to hit some shots. We have to be able to also rebound well. Michigan's that team that if we rebound the basketball well, limit their second chances, and we just hit some shots, we absolutely have a chance. And so
I just think it's the perfect matchup. Like it's
Yes.
similar style versus similar style. We like to use length, and we have our playmakers who, when they make plays, we are really, really good. And when we don't make those plays, we play down to the level of competition that we are facing. And I feel like that's the same thing with Michigan, even though they've kind of, righted the ship. What is the Big Ten? Because the Big Ten, let's not get it wrong, the Big Ten is a lot better than the ACC, not only this year, I think last year as well. And that's just something that I've kind of noticed over these past 2 seasons. So it's going to be a close game either way, but I don't know what's going to happen.
And there's more familiarity than you're usually used to with one of these games because we recruited Hunter Dickinson heavy. I think we were in his Final Four for as far as decisions. They have Sean D. Brown, who played at Wake Forest. Saw him a lot. There's a little familiarity there. We know what to expect, and if we can limit those early actions.
Cat? Is that your cat?
Yeah, it's my cat. She's
cool.
sniffing my wall like she usually does.
Sniffing your what?
My wall. My wall. You want to say hi? If we limit those early actions, which I think are switching, this is gonna be one of those games where switching heavy will actually work because you're not getting caught off guard with these early actions. They're already expecting it. High stays high, low stays low. They don't get these quick actions, and then, like Arya said, limit their offensive rebounding. I think that will be huge. It'll be a good game if we get there. I think it'd be a really, really good game. That if Florida State plays to their potential. Yeah, absolutely. They can come away with this game.
Yeah, and I think the key is getting there. Like you said, Austin, you got to get there. In the NCAA tournament, nothing's a given, but we have a very favorable draw.
I'm just assuming,
assuming for sure.
That happens.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a team you want to play. In all season, everybody's, was really hyping up Gonzaga and Baylor as they should have. They were very good teams. In my opinion, Illinois is playing the best basketball in the country right now. So to avoid them is a big deal. And then if you get through Michigan, there's nobody on the other side of the bracket. Texas, I know they won the Big 12 and, the other teams on there, Alabama. Give me them all day for a chance to go to the Final Four. I would take that any day of the week.
And one more thing to note about Michigan: this is Juwan Howard's first tournament as a coach.
Yeah.
How does he handle it? He hasn't been in a tournament since he's in the 90s. How does he handle that? How does he handle the pressure? Whereas Hamilton's been there, done that.
My prediction is that we're going to play Michigan. It's going to be down to the last possession, and they're going to call a timeout they do not have, and we're going to go to the Elite Eight.
Don't do that.
Please stop.
They don't
It wasn't Juwan though.
Do not do that. That is mean. That is mean, Richie.
If there's any Michigan fans watching, they just want to appease.
That is mean, Richie.
I've been watching college basketball a long time. I actually remember that play, not just the highlights, so I'm allowed to say
it. Dang. But guys, the NCAA
you're the only one that remembers that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, all I've got is Twitter
guys,
highlights.
The documentary.
Yeah. So it's just NCAA's always come down to who's been there and who's been in those moments and whose heart rate slows down the most in the final 5 minutes. And VZ might be able to, shed some light on this too. But the Michigan team, other than Livers, who's out, I'm trying to think of who's been on that stage before in their program. Whereas Florida, Turk and Polite, and there's a couple of MJ who've been asked to make shots, in an NCAA tournament setting. And I don't know, VZ, has anyone in Michigan other than Livers been in big moments?
I don't think we can count Sean D. Brown at Wake Forest, even though he had a lot of shots for them, but not big shots.
No.
Eli Brooks and Mike Smith have been there for a while, but Eli Brooks is kind of trash. Mike Smith, he's okay.
Is that the brother? The other one?
It's the brother. Yeah, Mo Wagner was the one that played against us, and he was horrible that game. No, he was horrible.
Didn't he hit that one shot? He hit one big three that extended the lead for them.
He was 0 for 7. I thought.
What?
I thought he was 0 for 7 from 3 that game.
He hit that one big shot. Arya's right. He hit that one big shot that put him ahead.
Yeah, but for the most of the game, he was horrible. He was getting looks and just wasn't hitting. And then they had oh my God, what's his name?
Simpson.
Matthews.
Zay Simpson.
They also had Matthews. Garrison Matthews?
Matthews killed us.
Matthews killed us. He was so good. He killed us. But yeah, it's a very
Jordan Poole there.
Yep. Oh no, I forget. That might have
Wasn't
been the
Poole
next
one?
year.
Poole was the one who hit the
Yeah.
3 against Houston to even get
Yeah.
them to like the
Poole
Sweet
was there.
16.
Was Duncan
That was that
Robinson
year?
on that team? I think he might have
Yeah,
been.
Duncan hit a 3
Yeah,
in the corner. to
Duncan
ice
was
it.
there too. Yeah,
I
Duncan
mean,
was there
Good
too.
God,
but
that
it was
that
weird.
fucking
It's
squad
weird to
was
see Duncan.
loaded,
That was
bro.
Good team.
long ago.
It was a really
That
good
squad
team.
was loaded. Holy
I remember
shit.
I remember we were doing the scouting report for that game and like watching tendencies, and we're like, man, they got some players. And the fact
And then they
that
had one
it,
other guy, Abdul Rahim, correct? Abdul
yep.
Rahim something.
Yep.
He was
He
baller.
was their
They were
point
good,
guard?
but Simpson, the little kid, killed us. The 5'10" little point guard.
And the fact that it was a 58-54 game just blew my mind.
We
'Cause
had
both
a
teams
chance,
have been-
man. That broke
Both
my
teams have been
heart.
playing offense so well all tournament, and it's just a slugfest. No one can hit a shot. PJ got 2 really good shots in the final minute. Phil Kofer got a good shot. And
Yeah.
I think in that situation, Florida State wins that game 7 times out of 10. It was
Yeah.
just such a weird game.
And in this tournament, y'all, like MJ is going to have to be big. I agree with, I know a couple of you mentioned it early. Like, there's always that kid on every team that's going to be asked to hit a icy shot, 2 minutes to play. It's inevitable. FSU is going to be in a game that comes down to the wire at least once, right? If you make a long run and if you're going to stay in the tournament, someone's got to hit the shot. There's going to be at one point, MJ is going to be asked to hit either we're down 3 and there's 1 minute and 5 seconds left and MJ's got to come back and hit a shot, or if he misses, now the other team's got the ball up 3 and they're trying to close the game out, or there's a buzzer beater chance. Someone's going to be asked to have big moments, and that's why we love March, right? March breeds heroes. MJ's got to be up to the task because I think he's the only one to me on this team that has had the full-on experience of being a high minutes guy in big moments throughout his career. So we'll see.
Quick question.
Would you rather it be her though, or I'm sorry, I interrupted everybody, but would you rather it be him though, or Scotty taking those shots late in games?
Depends on the shot.
I don't know. We'll see.
Scotty can't make free throws. He can't make free throws.
He's been
He
hitting
hit
them
in the
recently.
clutch though.
Recently,
Scotty
you're
hit
right.
a clutch 3 against GT, y'all. Like Scotty
Yeah.
cut that thing to 3, and I'm like, this kid's got ice water in his veins.
If you need
Yeah, but he
Scotty
can't hit
got
a free
clutch,
throw.
I mean,
He can't
no,
hit a
he
free
can't.
throw.
Ridiculous.
He can't.
He
It
can't
doesn't
hit a
matter
free
though.
throw.
if you need
All
a
right.
three,
But
would
All
you
right,
rather have
Rick-
Clark shoot it?
Richie has to log off because he has to go.
No,
watch
let him tell
the
him.
bat.
Let him,
hey, there's
let
nothing
him
wrong
tell
with
him.
that though.
So I am.
TJ,
I am.
I've already
he
told
to.
everybody,
He has to,
TJ.
Justin. I'm not saying there's any
Going to do it
problem with it, but he has to go watch it. So I'm gonna pass it over to Richie. Richie, give me your prediction on how far our Noles make it, since you're not going to be joining us for the predictions later down the road.
Yeah, man. If you had asked me this right after our second pause, when we came out against NC State and just looked like we were world beaters, I would have said Final Four for sure. I like the draw. I really do. I think it's a very favorable draw. I think we should get out of the first weekend. And then Michigan, we just talked about it. That's a toss-up game, but I just like this team. I feel like Florida State, traditionally, it feels like we've always performed the best in the tournament with low expectations. I remember that 2017 when we were in Orlando. I was there for the first game against Florida Gulf Coast, and then I flew out to Vegas for my bachelor party.
I was there with you. I was there with you, but I didn't know you at the time. I didn't know you at the time.
So I was in Vegas for my bachelor party, and we're staying at the Cosmo, and I left the pool party just to watch Xavier run through us. And I'm like, man, so much for that. And then the next year we make another nice run. I'm going to say we take care of Michigan, and then the Alabama, Texas, assuming that's who it is, I'll say that's a toss-up just because if they get that deep, that means they're playing well too. So I'm going to say Elite 8, and then anything else is gravy. And I'll be very happy with that. A first weekend exit would be very disappointing.
That's bold. Elite 8.
If you're going to have us
like
upset in Michigan, just have us in the Final Four, bro. Like, why stop short?
Is this your first tournament, TJ?
Oh,
Funky stuff happens, man.
Why?
I know we argue on our all the time, but I'm going to come after you if you're going to do it in public here.
If you're going to lie.
I'm
We're
not
gonna
lying.
beat the
I think we can beat Michigan.
But we can't beat Bama.
I'm saying if Bama or Texas is playing that well to get that far, it's going to be a really good game, and it's a toss-up at that point.
And
So
Bama can hit the three so well.
So pencil me in for the Elite 8, and we'll go from there.
All right, we got another bachelor, solid guy here in Logan Robinson.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He really loves his bachelor and bachelorette and bachelor in paradise. He loves it all.
I love it all.
That's Logan's thing, and he's saying he has to log off because he's got to go watch it with a bunch of 80 pies or Kyos or something like that. So
that was never put in the chat.
Logan,
if that's the case, I'm not mad at you. Go do you, bro.
I was about to say
you can hang out. You can hang out here with a bunch of dudes, or you can go to a sorority house and watch Bachelor. I'm saying that's an easy decision.
Oh man, thank you, Caleb. Though I really do appreciate that. Show the chat logs. We need the chat logs.
But I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna hop off. I had a blast with y'all tonight. Go Noles, and let's do it again maybe soon.
Yes, sir.
Richie,
thank you, Richie.
Be good, Richie.
Enjoy the
right, Logan.
Jameis is better than Tom Brady. Bye.
Easily. Kick him out. Kick him out. Kick him out. All right, good.
Get him. Yeah, he's gone now. Ban him.
Logan, your prediction before you go get your business on with your ladies at whichever sorority you're going to watch the Bachelor.
It's hard out here these days. Let's see. For me, I mean, these guys are way better experts on basketball. So the best ones are just now coming. So make sure you guys stay tuning in. But I think really is just going to be the mental game and also how Scotty Barnes is going to do. If he's not going to just come with some urgency and just say, hey, I'm better than you 22-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and just dominate, then I'm kind of worried they need a leader. So I'm going to go. I think Florida State. I think it's Sweet 16, and that's about it. I just really think the amount of leadership is going to cause this team to crumble. And at Sweet 16 is not too terrible. While we were looking into this season, I mean, next year is supposed to be the big daddy of them all. I'm already excited about next season. So Sweet 16 isn't too disappointing, but it is a little disappointing for some fans when they saw Florida State look like a Final Four team, like we talked about earlier on here, when they have that. They had that side of them. It's just someone's got to get in the mental game, man. I mean, it's just something that this team needs, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what Coach Ham has in his bag. Aria and Austin know really well about how this coaching staff and how experienced they are, and you'd like to have Coach Ham on your side, and we'll see if he's able to wake up this crew.
Yeah. Cool.
You want me to FaceTime you from which sorority? Which one do you want me to FaceTime you from?
Zeta.
Finally.
Wait. You got your pick? You got your pick tonight? Like that's your
which pick? What am I picking? My pick. Oh, for it all?
No. I'm saying you got your pick of a sorority tonight.
I don't have enough.
You're just picking which one you're going to.
I don't have enough fingers on my hand, Austin. I mean, not Austin, but Caleb. Sorry. The wine's starting to hit me. This is where I got to start escaping. I got schoolwork to do.
An excuse. What an excuse.
It is a good one, though.
All
right, Thank you for having me. Y'all be good.
See you.
We don't like you.
And poor Aria down there on the bottom all by himself now.
I know.
I
was wondering. So
He's
much more exciting than anything that Logan just said. I was wondering how the tiles would shift. Like that's what I really wanted to know. Once he went off, so
it's nice.
It is. It's really good. Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice.
We see it down there.
Assuming Gonzaga makes it to the Final Four, assuming we make it to the Elite Eight and have to play a team, are there any teams in our region that worry you outside of our initial group that we might have to play leading up until the Elite Eight?
I mean, Bama's so good, especially recently. When they get hot from three, I mean, they're unstoppable. We've seen this year. We saw it against UCF. When a team gets hot from three, like we just have no answers sometimes. Obviously, that was early in the year. We were still figuring out things on our end. But Bama's definitely the one team down there. UConn can make a run with Bo Knight. It wouldn't surprise me if they got to a Sweet 16 Elite Eight. Texas is so hot and cold right now. I don't know what to expect. And I don't think BYU is all that good. I was surprised there was 6 seed. They have Matt Harms, the former Purdue Giant. He transferred over there. But I just don't think they're that good. I think it's really going to come down to Texas, UConn, or Bama to get to the Elite Eight on that side.
Yeah, I think Texas, Bama is really good and they've been shooting really well recently, but I think Texas is the one team that from the bottom half of our bracket that does scare me. Although like how we said, like they do have this boomer bust potential, but like they got a guy in Jericho Sims who like I think he could be a real problem because he's a monster on the boards. And like we don't have like how we've had in years past, like that big menacing defensive presence. So if we do end up in the Elite Eight and we have to face Texas, it'll be a lot on ball, Malik and Nagam to like really get down there and play on him so he won't just like dominate us.
And they've got Kai Jones too. Kai Jones has played so well for them, especially in big games.
Yeah.
I think Alabama probably worries me the most because of their shooting. It's just scary. They can get hot. I mean, you see the two teams in the SEC that shot lights out from three, and that's Alabama and Arkansas. And those were two of the teams I was hoping to necessarily avoid because sometimes our deep point or our 3-point defense is lacking at certain times. We're slow to get out, and we don't necessarily contest as well as we should. And that's something that concerns me. And also Alabama has a big guy down low. I forget his name, but he does a decent job by himself down there, and he can also get out on the edge and shoot threes. So it's kind of concerning to me if we have to play them. Do I necessarily think we would lose that battle? No, because I think our scrappiness, our defensive, concentration that we do have when it comes to big games can kind of outwin those battles. But it's all about a buy-in at that point. But Alabama is probably, the most scary team that I think we have to face if we do make it to that point and end up beating Michigan in the Sweet 16 and move on to I think Alabama. I mean, I look at their side of the bracket, and it's not too terribly difficult. You don't have to face really anybody besides maybe Texas. And like you guys were saying before, Texas is kind of up and down, and I think Alabama can handle that. So that's my biggest worry when it comes to the Elite Eight. Anybody else got anything to say on who you think's got a battle with us if we do make it to that point, or who we should worry about?
No, I think you hit on the head. Just looking at the rest of the bracket, I think the South region is very interesting. I'm really excited to see what North Carolina does and what they're riding on. But I feel like every other region is very top-heavy with Illinois, Baylor, and Gonzaga. Is there anything that y'all see as kind of interesting throughout the rest of the bracket and, like, any Cinderellas or anything that you would want to see?
Winthrop, the 12 seed, has the easiest route to a Sweet 16 I've ever seen from a 12 seed. They played Villanova without Colin Gillespie. Then they played the winner of Purdue, North Texas with – both are horrible matchups for Winthrop. That's a Sweet 16 lock for me as a 12 seed.
Really?
Yeah. And OK State as a 4 is just horrible.
The fact there were 4 and West Virginia was a 3, I was losing it.
Yeah, look for my Liberty Flames to upset Oklahoma State in the first round.
So,
I don't think they can
wait. Speaking of Liberty, I rode Liberty so hard last year for like 7 games in a row betting wise, and they hit every single time. They covered the spread like 7 games in a row for me last year, bro. And I was just like, I said, if they win this last game, then I will buy a jersey. And of course, they lost it because I was just like, you gotta be kidding me.
The West is tough this year. They have Gonzaga, they have Iowa and Kansas. I would not want to be in that section at all.
See, I don't think Kansas is that good.
They have no athletes.
Iowa was one of those teams where they're so good offensively because it's Luka Garza and they have 4 just elite shooters. Mm-hmm. But they're like 90th. They're 90th in defensive efficiency or somewhere around there. They've been hovering around there all year.
All right, so who's your guys' like number one overall seed? Like who
Gonzaga.
Not even close.
Do you see them losing at all? Like up until they're challenged up in the Final Four, or
I mean they got a really good bracket.
Not going to be challenged.
I like Baylor.
I don't.
Yeah,
I think Baylor beats them.
I
don't know.
I love the backcourt Baylor has, man.
That South region has a lot of different. Sneaky good teams that can like beat anyone in a given night,
I mean, UNC is an 8 seed.
Yeah,
They've been playing
They're
really
going to be
well,
tough. They're going to be
but
tough.
but then you have Purdue. If Purdue wins their first 2 games, and they match up with Baylor, I don't know. They're not. I just felt they're one of those sturdy teams that can do something crazy if they want to. This is a bunch of teams.
Gonzaga has the
Iowa
easiest
was the
bracket, though.
team. Yeah, I didn't want to play Iowa. Like if there were teams we were like even like 3 weeks ago, we were looking around like who could be. I'm like, we would not face. They would be like Iowa would be Notre Dame but better. And Luka Garza's insane. It's just like not the team that matches up well with us.
So would that be like the matchup? Would that be the matchup of the tournament? Is Gonzaga versus Iowa?
They already played and beat them by 20.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be that close.
Gonzaga has what they always have, plus a top 5 caliber player in Jalen Suggs. Like
Gonzaga has 7 guys that can give you 20 points on any given.
Okay, but at the same time, you see Gonzaga struggling first halves. Like that is the thing that Gonzaga does. They struggle first halves.
It's the same thing with Florida State though. Like how hard, like how easy is it to get up for Portland State and San Diego? Like no one wants to play those games. They play like they need to move to the Mountain West.
And this could be wrong. Like I was just gonna say, I could be wrong here, but you know the reason I'm never like high on Gonzaga, and I think y'all all know what I'm about to say, and it's because they go 2 months without playing anybody, and what happens is Gonzaga, if they had like an NBA Finals where you had to beat them 4 times, I'd be like, yeah, Gonzaga's tough, but like all you have to do is lose once. Like Gonzaga then plays 6 teams in a row, or 4 teams in a row after they get to the Sweet 16. Where they actually have to play a freaking schedule that everyone else has had to now play. And it's like the chances of you losing once to those 4, whatever those 4 are, right, is pretty high. And that's why Gonzaga loses in an Elite 8 or a Final 4. They did the best job a few years back, right, when they had Nigel Goss-Williams or whatever it was, and they made the title game and they lost. But it's like I never will pick Gonzaga to win a national title. And it's because they legitimately play high school teams until they get to the tournament. They overwhelm the first round opponent. They overwhelm the second round opponent, maybe a little bit. Then the Sweet 16 on, it's like these teams are not afraid of you. Like none of these teams are afraid of you. And it happened when they played Florida State, a team who maybe was inconsistent during the season, but physically you haven't seen that. And it's different. All it takes, y'all, is one loss. All it takes is one bad 40 minutes that doesn't go your way, and Zags are out. That's why I think they're gonna lose. I don't know who it'll be to, but I'm much more inclined to be a Baylor is gonna figure it out, or an Illinois who's been punched in the mouth over and over and over this season. You guys, one of you asked a dark horse. It's actually in our region. I don't know that they're any good, but Michigan State would scare the shit out of me if Izzo and that team who's been battle tested in the Big Ten, they have had some big wins this season too. If they figure it out and they put it together in March, that team could make a run. And it's kind of weird though to be underdog Michigan State, dark horse Michigan State.
Don't buy Michigan State. Aaron Henry was just dragging them to wins the last stretch of the season.
And it's up and down with them. It's up and down with Michigan State. It's either they're really good or they really suck. My
take is any team that loses to Northwestern is not going to go far in the tournament. It's just a rule of mine.
I get it. Who can win 6 games in a row in y'all's opinion? I know you could say Gonzaga, but it is. I
don't think any of these teams. I don't think any of these teams can win 6 in a row. To be honest with you, obviously, it's gonna happen. But it's gonna happen. But you look at it and you're every single team has had bumps or in the road, or they have had close calls in the road to where they could have easily been knocked down a lower path in a lower seed to what they already are. Gonzaga had multiple times where they were down, I say multiple, but a few times where they were down at halftime.
Yeah.
To lesser teams, not even teams that are worthy to even give them competition, but teams that didn't even deserve to be in it against them. And so you can see things like that, and you start to put it into perspective, and it's you can't see I can't see one of these teams being like, yes, they can win 6 in a row. That's why I think it's so wide open this year.
I think Illinois could do it.
Yeah,
Maybe
Illinois.
they're tough.
Maybe. I mean,
they
maybe
got the
that would be the
combo.
one team.
Ohio
But that's
State,
the
maybe.
one. That's the one. They've got like 2-3 dudes. You know, they got like 2-3 dudes you can rely on.
I mean,
Nobody else has got
the 2 to 3 dudes are really good. I mean, I don't know. how
Yeah,
to
that's what I'm
pronounce
saying.
Iowa,
It's like a
Iowa.
big three, DZ. It's like a big three. They got big capability team, and so it's like different for them.
But
I
they're
mean,
just
we're all
so good.
saying, I mean, we're all hoping that an upset can happen in the Sweet 16, but if not, could Michigan do it? Like, is Michigan the team that you could see?
No.
Nobody
I don't think
nobody
so.
wants to.
You at the beginning of the
If
year,
Livers can play at
yes.
some point. If Livers can play at some point.
Yeah.
Can he?
Livers
Like,
can
can
play,
he
yeah.
take a cortisone shot into the stress? I don't know. People play with stress fractures. I don't know. Like, would they pad his shoe up eventually and give him a cortisone shot, and like he would give it a go? I don't know.
I mean,
They could do it
look
with
at
different
Trent. Look
trends.
at Trent with his turf toe.
Yeah, well, turf toe was just what they were calling it. It was, I forget what the exact injury was, but it was something in his toe, but he had to have surgery on it.
Did
You
he have
don't
a ligament
surgery on
torn?
turf.
Like a ligament torn
Yeah.
in his toe.
Yeah,
Man, I
it
miss
tore
him
against
so
Villanova.
much.
He played the entire season without any shots, without anything. They just put an extra pad in his foot. When it came to the tournament, and David Nichols went out too, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have to play Trent 36 minutes again." Then
Yeah.
he finally got the cortisone shot. But the fact he played all season
He's
without
my
it was
hero,
insane.
man. Like him
I
and
miss
him
him.
and T-Man are like rafters. Put their jerseys up. They are everything Florida State wants to embody.
All right,
What
quick
sucks though is that
question
like
here.
COVID robbed him
Quick-
of his
quick-
like career defining moment.
I mean, even without it, Trent's one of the 3 best players in program history. I don't think
Yeah.
that's.
Well, yeah, like his
I don't think
jersey
that's an
should be
argument.
wrapped. But like, imagine last year, like he leads us to a like. I personally think that last year, like we were gonna win it all. Like I thought last year was the year. Like even if we didn't, like he leads us to a Final Four that like cements him as one of the greatest ever in program history. Like, just sucks.
Quick question here from a fan. Who has the best backcourt in the tournament?
Baylor.
I'm not familiar with every team, but I'll try and take a stab. Arya, you're going straight Baylor here. Why?
Dude, it's Baylor. It's crazy. I don't even know how both of them came back. Like what they should not be in college. I don't understand. Is it Butler, Teague, and what's the other one? There's a third one.
I'll pull it up real quick. Hold on.
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I know Teague, I know Butler, and there's one other. It's just unfair. It was like, and by the way, if you're betting on the tournament,
Butler,
and
Teague,
you
and
guys,
Mitchell.
we've all kind of touched on it. Mitch, right? We've all touched on it, right? Like this tournament's going to be weird and whatever. Bet on senior backcourts. Like I actually think Georgia Tech can make a run because I think they've got a good veteran backcourt. Like I'm not. Who's going to crap themselves the least, right? Like in the last 3 minutes of the game, who's not going to throw the ball out of bounds? Who's going to step in and take a charge? Who makes the big shot? Like, I just believe teams that have seniors typically handle the moment better. So
Dude,
we'll see.
Georgia Tech got hosed. Can we talk about that real quick? How are they? First of all, the fact they're a 9 seed is embarrassing. They should have been a 7.
Yes.
But they play Loyola Chicago, who has the best defense in the country. Like, not one of the best defense. I got so bored one night. I was watching like 30, 45 minutes of Loyola Chicago defense. It is so good. And then if you escape that game, you play Illinois, who's the hottest team in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And
What
Crutwig's
is that
in there,
draw?
right? Like Crutwig was on the
Right,
team. That
so-
made the run.
Yeah.
So does anybody want to talk about Arkansas's backcourt for a second?
It's good, yeah. That's
Solid. I'd say it's top 10 backcourt for sure. Maybe
Yeah.
probably top
Yeah.
7.
So if you were to say guards get hot in this tournament, that's one team that you will point to be like that's got the best backcourt, the best backcourt in the NCAA tournament if they get hot. I think they 100% have a shot to be able to have that title.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I talked about it even before the season. Good backcourts win in March. It's not just this year; it's always a good backcourt's going to win in March. We've seen it going back to UConn with Kemba Walker, Shabazz Napier, Jeremy Lamb, just all these guys. It's always comes down to good guard play. Yeah, you want to have good bigs too, but the good guards win college basketball.
Illinois, Don Sumu is insane.
He's so good.
Yeah, but that's just you're pointing at one guy there, and
Yeah,
like
true.
I can understand that, but like you look at Arkansas's 3-guard lineup that they got rolling, and it is if they shoot well, they're pretty much unstoppable because those guys can get super hot. They can go like 3 for 4 in the first 5 minutes of the game, and you're like, "Fuck, what are we supposed to do?"
Gonzaga, right?
I think another team you have
Fantastic.
another team you have to watch for another team with a good backcourt, Ohio State. You know, you got former Knowles, TJ Walker, and then you got Dwayne Washington, who's been killer all season. I mean, that's just another backcourt you got to watch out for. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they made a Final Four run.
Iowa's Bohannon is McCaffrey.
Well, that's hit or miss. That's hit or miss. Honestly,
their defense is so bad that I don't trust them.
Yeah,
did y'all see that stat that says like the Final Four teams? You have to have like a top 10. Then the last like 20 national champions or something like that, or 50. It's some stat. All have top 10 in offense and defense efficiencies. Like nobody, it's like a consistent thing all throughout the board. So if you're picking a national championship and you have Ken Palm and that metric system, maybe don't get crazy with some of the picks. What you're feeling. Maybe Iowa's not the pick to win the national title with a defense in the 90s. So
probably not what you want, but we'll go ahead and end it off with our last thing here, and I'm gonna ask each and every one of you. All right, we're gonna go snake style round table. Where do you predictions? We're gonna have a few. Your prediction on where Florida State ends up. Where we end up getting to when we get knocked out, and then who your Final Four is and your national champion. We'll start with Marshall.
Man, off guard. With us, if in a perfect world, if we win our first couple games, that Michigan game is gonna be huge. I know there's still salt in the wound from a couple years ago. I remember that night vividly. I almost got killed by 72 beer cans being thrown. Like everyone was so pissed. Like that one hurt really bad. If we get Michigan again, I think we'll edge them out. And whoever comes out of that bottom side of the bracket, whether it's Alabama or Texas or whoever, I mean, we'll have a chance to win those two games if we get to them. After that, I don't know if we make it much farther. Just because we're such a streaky team, I don't know if we can keep it up for 6 games. It's crazy. So I'm saying Sweet 16, Elite 8. That's what I'm saying. For Final Four, man, I don't know. I don't know how Gonzaga. I mean, someone touched on it earlier. Like they don't play anyone, and they just kind of get wore out by the time they get to the Final Four time. So, but I'm going to pick them to be in the Final Four. I don't know if they'll get past that. Man, the South bracket's funky. I don't know. I don't know who's going to come out of that. I think Baylor has a lot of chances to get beat. Florida has 0 chance. I love that.
What a horrible first round match. Florida, Virginia Tech. No one wants to watch that.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm very excited for the North Carolina-Wisconsin game. That game's going to be good.
I think North Carolina Baylor is going to be a ton of fun if North Carolina wins that first one.
Yeah, I think North Carolina. I mean, they have like players, and they just all of a sudden put it together, and they're hot.
They rebounded. They rebounded very well.
If Caleb Love can find a way to not shoot 20% from the floor, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I think North Carolina can make a run. They're not going to make a huge like that kind of run though. I mean, I think Purdue can make some noise. That part of the bracket's so weird. It's hard not to pick Baylor though, because I feel like they're better than all the teams in there. Ohio State. I think Ohio State can do some noise, make some noise too. But Final Four, I'll just pick Baylor because I can't think of anyone else. And then I'll pick a fun one for the last one. Illinois, a great team, but man, I don't know. It's so tough. Last year I was in a 99.8 percentile in my bracket, so y'all should probably
bracket that didn't happen. That's crazy.
I mean, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. You caught me. In a lie, you got me. Man, that's a tough one too. I like Illinois. I mean, they're just such a tough team, and they're good. Loyola Chicago can make another run. Man, I think I like West Virginia though. Honestly, I think West Virginia.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm going to be fun with this one. I like West Virginia a little bit. I think they're kind of a slept-on, really good team. That's my Final Four. I don't know who's going to win out of that. I'm not going to try to guess. As far as I want to go.
All right, we'll throw it over to Justin.
What was everything again? I kind of got lost. Is the Final Four and like a
All right, so how far do you think Florida State's gonna go? And then who's your Final Four in your national championship?
All right, so hopefully we win the chip, but like more realistically, I think like we're around like Elite Eight, maybe Final Four if everything breaks our way. And then my Final Four, if Florida State's not in it, would be Gonzaga. What else do I got? I just filled out my bracket like yesterday. Gonzaga, Illinois, Bama, and Texas Tech, with Gonzaga as my champion.
Texas Tech, interesting pick.
Gonzaga as your champion.
That dude.
I like that.
Gonzaga's winning. Oh yeah, and Winthrop is definitely going to Sweet 16, like Austin said.
Ooh.
It's a lot.
And my last Cinderella, Rick Pitino is going to lead Iona at least to the second round.
Let's go. So Rick Pitino talk, baby. Rick
Pitino.
They're going to the Sweet 16.
Rick Pitino is
Pitino.
Oh man,
Rick Pitino is in the tournament, and Kentucky and Louisville are not. How fucking awesome is that?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, Louisville's an alternate.
Yeah, they're the first alternate technically if a COVID team goes out.
COVID.
Yeah, but whatever. Don't lose.
Yeah, so the Gales, they're gonna go far.
All right, Austin, what you got?
I actually haven't even filled out my bracket yet because I've been doing so much homework on UNC Greensboro, Colorado, and Georgetown.
All right, off the cuff.
I've just been looking at it real quick. Just touch on Florida State's path real quick. I really think, like we said, ad nauseum, Florida State got really blessed with a good path that if they can focus, get locked in, they can make a run. UNC Greensboro is not your typical mid-major. Colorado, Georgetown isn't your typical 5-12 game. I think Florida State can absolutely get to the second weekend. They get lucky with a 1 seed playing a banged-up Michigan team. I agree. I think Elite Eight's about right. Who they lose to, where they lose. I think it's second weekend. Who knows? But when we had Arya on our podcast before the season, we kind of said Sweet 16 feels about right. If they make it any further than that, good on them. And they outperformed expectations early, then kind of came back down to earth. It's a very high ceiling, low floor team. We've said it all year. If they get past that first weekend, I wouldn't be surprised if they're Final Four. But I do think Elite Eight's kind of where they fall out. Now, as far as if they don't make the Final Four, my picks would be Gonzaga for sure in the West. In the East, man, if it's not Florida State, there's no team I trust in any seed. I guess I'll take Texas, but I'm not really high on it. In the South, I'm taking Ohio State. I just think because they have so much good guard play, they've been battle tested all year. I think they get to the Final Four. Texas Tech, a good pick though. I really like that. And then in the Midwest, it's hard to go against Illinois. If I had to pick another team, it'd be Oklahoma State. I think Kate Cunningham's playing so well, and the team around him is so confident because of it. But it's tough to pick against Illinois. So I'll say Illinois, Texas, Ohio State, and Gonzaga.
And your national champion,
Illinois.
All right. Well, for me, I'm with everyone else. I see Florida State getting to the Elite Eight and then dropping off. I don't know who's going to beat them, but I don't think they make it past there. I think they'll likely play Michigan in the Sweet 16 if all goes as planned, and I think they'll be pretty exhausted from that game. So just playing 2 days later after that, I think they're going to be done for. So, yeah, we're pretty much all in agreement with that pick. And then for my Final Four, I got the Zags coming out. I have Bama, personally, out of the East. And then I have Arkansas. I think they're kind of a sleeper this year. I'm excited about that team, and I think they could make a run. So we'll see it. And then
if they lose to Colgate, oh my god.
Oh,
my
in
God.
shambles.
Funny. It's Hogs versus Colgate. It's pretty funny.
Please lose to toothpaste. Please let it happen.
And
Sorry for
then
that.
Hygiene
you're good.
versus dirt.
I have Oklahoma State as well, or Austin. You kind of considered doing that, but I have them Final Four, and then I do have Arkansas as my champion. The reason I like to pick some out of context teams that not everyone's taken because I'm trying to win it all in all my brackets. The first year I filled out a bracket, I picked the 7 seed UConn to win it all, and they did. So that's where it kind of comes from. But my one sleeper pick, I got Syracuse in the Elite Eight. Buddy Boeheim's been unbelievable lately. He shoots the lights out. I think he put up 30 points in his last 2 games in the tourney. And I think they're playing well right now. I could see him making a run, and I'd be excited if they did.
It honestly won't surprise me because you look at that bracket, they have to play San Diego State, which is whatever. But then you look at the 3-14 game. West Virginia has not been playing well recently. Clemson Rutgers as a 7-10 is a snooze fest. No one wants to watch that. Then Houston as a 2 seed, I just don't buy them. I hope Cleveland State beats them. I want Coach Gates to get that win. They definitely have the path to get there. It wouldn't surprise me.
All right, TJ, you're on the spot.
All right, I'm gonna buck this trend here and hope that you guys are right, and I'm not. I'll get the Sweet 16. I don't have us getting past Michigan, but I would love to be wrong there. And I hope all of you at me when I'm wrong about that one.
Don't worry.
I'll gladly trade that. Pull this video back up, Caleb, whatever it takes.
I'm clipping.
Just keep all this part where I was like, I'm praying to be wrong too. Like,
No, that part's out. You're saying no, you're not doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I could certainly see Gonzaga getting upset beforehand, but I'll put them in my Final Four. I like Baylor there as well. Give me Illinois and Bama. So a lot of chalk minus Michigan, but I'll go with that as my Final Four. Was there something else? Sleeper team. Yeah, let's roll with Liberty. I don't know why I said Oklahoma State earlier or Oregon State. They play
Tennessee.
Purdue. They play Purdue first round. So give me Liberty I don't know they win the first 2 games, but give me Liberty to get to the next round at least.
Who's your champion?
I'll just be cliche and go Gonzaga. Give me Vegas here.
All right, Arya.
All right. Well, I also haven't filled out my bracket yet, and I guess my thing is I have every right to change it once I actually look at everything and put them down and then look at it and put things together with like Vegas lines and Ken Palm and all that. But when I took a quick look at it, Florida State, I think, also goes to the Sweet 16. I trust Michigan and their backcourt to win a close game late against us. I'm not saying we don't have a chance. I think we have a very good chance to beat Michigan. If I'm picking it, I just believe Michigan. I think Michigan's a better basketball team than we are. I really do. And that being said, if this team makes the Sweet 16, it is absolutely a successful season. It has always been about getting ready for next year, which is going to be loaded. That might be Leonard Hamilton's most talented team that he's had on pure talent. So it could be a lot of fun. So I think the culture stays intact. If you make a second weekend, you have to consider it a success, especially everything that went on and who you lost. You know, Trent and Dev, you lost 2 lotto picks and arguably your most important player in school history. So it's not supposed to be better than that. And it hasn't been, you know. So I think Florida State gets to the 16. I think Michigan finds a way to win a close one. As far as Final Four, I like Bama to make the Final Four. I think Nate Oates is a fantastic coach, and they're a lot of fun. I could totally see them winning 6 games in a row and winning a title. They have that type of team. So I think they'll get to the 4. I think Gonzaga will get to the Final Four. I took a quick peek at their bracket while you guys were all doing your predictions, and like Iowa's the most like possible.
It's an easy bracket.
It really
Easy
is.
bracket.
I was looking at teams that can out-athlete them. I'm like, who can out-athlete them? And it's not. There's nobody there. Like I'm like, that's the Big Ten team you gave them. So like, a not as good version of Gonzaga gets to play them. So, yeah, I got Gonzaga in the Final Four. I like Illinois quite a bit too. I think they're tough. They're is it Cockburn down low? Is that the right?
Coburn. Coburn.
Jesus.
That's another guy we want to back.
Whatever. Honestly, Cockburn's better.
Cockburn
I
is
wish
something
it was.
else.
I wish it was. Cockburn's way more, it's way more fun. Anyway.
TJ, I just got that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, anyway, he's a brick. Like, he reminds me of Dwight Howard, Michael Ojo, R.I.P., rest in peace. Just a brick wall, and they've got a great backcourt. And then I'll go Baylor as well to make it. And then my championship, I think Baylor wins it all. I really like what they're doing. And Coach Drew finally changed, being stubborn about being an only zone team. And they finally play some more man, and it's helped them a lot. So I got Baylor, and I actually like Jake's pick that Cuse could go pretty far. The thing about Cuse is, like, if they get past the first round, the team that has to face them on one day of prep and face that zone that they've never seen before, good luck. Like, that's going to be miserable for them. And so if Cuse wins its first game, they're winning their second game. That's my prediction there too. So should be a lot of fun, y'all. Like, I'm so excited for this tournament. Fingers crossed, right? Like, that we get to play the whole thing out. No postponements, please. Like, I don't want like a washed up, watered down version of this tournament when it's all said and done. And thank God we're going to at least get to watch it, right? Last year crushed me. When that ended last year, I did not handle it. Like, I was very sad.
I think it crushed a lot of us because we all knew. We're all sitting here as Florida State fans, and we all knew that was our year, to get it. That was our year to go out and get it, and we didn't even have the opportunity to do that. And that hurt a lot of us.
I say it all. Right? I say it all the time on me and Caleb's show when it's just me and him. Like last year, I felt like the stars were aligned. Just had that feeling. Like that in 2013 football season, the stars were aligned. You just knew it was going to happen, and it didn't. It was really sad. But this year is so interesting because there aren't really real juggernauts in the tournament. So it's really anyone's game, and they're all playing on the same court the whole time. So pretty much, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be fun.
The thing with last year's team is, for the first time since his freshman year, we had a healthy Trent Forrest, and the team just never got blown out. Even in their 3 losses, they lost bad at Indiana, but they were gassed. They had come off that 2 games in 2 days.
We don't play well. We don't play well.
That environment was insane.
But they just played so hard every single minute. It was just hard to see them losing in March. Whereas they had that killer instinct that we haven't had in.
It was like if the game mattered at the end, there was no question who was going to win that game. If we were down by 2 with 2 minutes left, I had no question in my heart that we were still going to win that game.
Even that
I knew the type of team we had.
Even that close loss at Clemson, the dude hit the final minute was so bad between the uncontested whistle or inadvertent whistle. Sorry, Trent hits a shot, then Dawes hits this just unbelievable shot, spinning around, reverse layup that somehow spins in. I don't know how he hit it, but Florida State wins that game 9 times out of 10. You live with that result. They didn't get blown out at all last year. They were so tough, so physical. Malik Osborne was playing at the peak of his powers. They were able to switch 1 through 5, and then you throw a pad in, and it was just it was a wrap. That team was so much fun last year. I couldn't think about basketball for a month and a half. I was so upset.
No way. Yeah, imagine Tampa, man. Like Tampa, I was told the tickets that FSU was allotted sold out in 10 minutes. So to get a ticket to watch that game, FSU fans were scouring for like secondary market. We would have had 10 to 12,000 FSU fans in Tampa.
It would have been a home game.
And then Final Four in Atlanta. Mercedes-Benz, come on, man. You'd have had half a football stadium of FSU fans. Like, it was I'll forever like think about what that would possibly look like.
I'm still upset
what
to this
would
day.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium look like?
I'm still upset to this day. Oh my god, yeah. I'm just
it's like a spring game for Doak.
I'm just still so upset they never gave us a bracket.
Oh man. Could you just imagine, man? That crushed me. Like, that was the year, and we would have watched we would have cut the Nets down. I was convinced.
The fact the committee didn't even give us a bracket, it's just like, at least give us some kind of bow to wrap the season with. You just stop it? Like, come on, man. At least give us a bracket. Let us have some fun.
It was sad.
Chills, man. The Bama football game that was played at Mercedes-Benz, like I was there for
let's
that.
Let's not.
I know. I'm just saying, like half the arena being FSU fans, half the stadium, but there's a basketball court in the middle of the like. Come on, man. Like you don't beat that. You can't beat that.
No, you can't beat that. It would have been a home game, if not more, because it holds more than the Civic Center. So,
crushed.
But I'll go ahead and give my predictions. I think Florida State, we have a tough first 2 rounds. I think we play them very close. I think we barely escape out of our first 2 rounds because we're doing our typical thing, playing down 2 opponents. But I think we make it to the Final Four because after those 2 games, we start getting it together. I'm not saying it's an easy bracket at all, having to face Michigan, having to face Alabama in that situation. But, it is what it is. We play down to competition. We play up to competition. That's how we play. And I feel like that's what's going to happen in the tournament. We're just going to continue that. Like if we lose, we're going to lose early. And it's going to be heartbreaking if we do, but it's just something we have to accept because like Arya was saying before, is that we're reloading for next year. We're not necessarily building on this year. We're reloading next year, and that's what's going to happen. But I could see this team going far if we're hitting. If we're hitting on all cylinders of what we have the potential to do, I think that's a possibility for us to make a Final Four run, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to play down to our opposition early on, in the beginning and against UNCG. We'll probably play down to competition. We'll still probably win by about maybe 6 to 7 points, closer than a lot of us would probably like that game to be. And then we'll move on to whether that's Colorado or St. Bonaventure. Colorado or Georgetown. I think we take care of business there too, but it's another one of those games that is going to be a lot closer than it probably should be once we do move on to it. And then at that point, Leonard's going to get those boys ready. He's gonna have them ready, period, for March Madness. But you imagine the type of level of intensity that guys like an MJ or a Raekwon or even a Scotty being his first year in the tournament. Like they're going to have an intensity level that's going to be beyond us. It's a matter of them composing it and someone say the word for me.
Compartmentalize.
Compartmentalizing that energy. Compartmentalizing that. Compartmentalizing that energy.
I'm a broadcaster.
Just skip over it.
Those are the things you practice.
Doing that.
Words are my thing.
doing that. It's going to take them to do that. It's going to have to take them doing that for us to be successful at that stage. We could easily get to the Sweet 16, but once we get, not easily, because it's going to be tough because we're obviously going down. I just feel that way, like personally. But after that, Jesus, I'm not even trying to say it. Just putting it together and being able to put it, just
focus. Call it focusing.
There we go. Focus. We just focus. We lock in. We do the things that we know we're supposed to do, that you were taught when you first came to Florida State. You play as a team. You move the ball around. And another person that I want to point out in this situation is Anthony Polite. Anthony Polite started the year off hot as hell. Y'all remember that. He started off hot as shit, shooting over 53% from 3-point range. And he's kind of tapered off after his injury, after he's been held out and things of that nature. So that's another guy that's got to be able to step up, hit his shots. And we've seen him do it in the past. He hit the big shot when we didn't even expect him to. So he's going to have to do it when we expect him to hit these shots. And I think we have a team that can do it. It's just about, can they keep it together to be able to reach that point? And I think they do. Is it going to be tough getting there? Absolutely. But I think we have the chance to make it to Final Four. So for us, I think we come out of the East. I know it's tough to say, but I'm going to be the guy that does it. I'm going to take us going to the Final Four in the East. Now we can go to the West. I like Gonzaga. Like everybody else, I think they've got the easiest path to the Final Four. So that is what it is. It's just staying put right there for what they are. Out of the South, I've got Arkansas. I have been high on Arkansas. I've loved Arkansas and how they play. They've got a big guy down low too, 7-footer guy who can also hit threes. Step back beyond the line. Is he necessarily the most athletic kid? No. But if their guards get hot, like we were saying earlier, if your guard play is above average and great in the tournament, you can win the damn thing. And so that's why I like Arkansas coming out of the South. I don't think Baylor's built up to what they were at the beginning of the season. One of those teams that has kind of slid off, especially since after their COVID break. So we'll see if they can start picking it up again. But North Carolina, that's somebody to watch in that region too. I like UNC, to kind of make a little bit of noise there. They could even upset Baylor in that second round if they have the willpower to do so. And then in the Midwest, I like Illinois, like everybody else. I think Illinois has got a great run going right now. They've been through the battle-tested Big Ten, which we have already talked about, in the Big Ten being, the powerhouse of this season in college basketball. But my kind of dark horse here is going to be USC. I like USC to at least make the Sweet 16. They could even make some noise if they have a hot game in the Sweet 16 against a team like Iowa. I think they have a lot of potential. There's not been a lot of eyes on them. So that's kind of why I sit back and I take my gambling knowledge into effect here and saying that USC can kind of have an edge there against Iowa because they're a more balanced team than Iowa. I think everybody sees Iowa. They're kind of a balanced team, but if their front court's not having a good game, then they're kind of screwed. If their back court's not having a good game, then they're kind of screwed. It's like if one of your courts aren't having a good game, you could end up getting upset. And I like USC. I'm not saying that they're going to upset Iowa, but I like USC as kind of a sleeper pick for myself.
Well said.
Cool.
All right. Anybody want to dog on me for taking us to the Final Four?
No. Last one. I don't mean to keep up. You spoke about your betting expertise. What's the betting lock of the first round? The real first round, not these play-in games, but the real first round. What's the betting lock?
I haven't looked at any lines yet. I usually go I usually go the day before. I'm not one of these guys. Dude, listen. On Friday night, I literally started my bender of all weekend of just drinking. And I was at a bar just drunk in Jacksonville because I was going to TPC, just hammered at Pussers. I don't know if y'all have ever been to Pussers, but great place to go. And I was at Pussers, and me and my boy Trey Lee, we put like $1,100 on so much. Like I put $500 on Noles minus 2.5, $290 on Noles just money line on Friday night against UNC, excuse me. And then we made a 5-team parlay, and then we took an over in like the Cal State Poly game, and like went up like 700 in one night. So that's how I like to do my gambling shit. I usually look the night before, so that was like on a whim. But I'll look, right before the games start coming on. I don't like to look too far ahead because then I start getting my head. I start thinking too much, trying to put together pieces. But if you were to say one, it would probably be Gonzaga and whoever they face, just because that line's going to be lowered because it's March. But Gonzaga has been known to absolutely blow out teams in the first round, so I don't see that.
They don't have a line yet because they're it's a playing game, so we won't know that line until Saturday. But
it doesn't matter to me. I would still take it because Gonzaga is known to do that.
For me, Villanova is a 6-point favorite over Winthrop. Taking Winthrop +6.
Take it money line. Take it money line.
I mean, I'm taking them straight up. I'm taking them straight up, but absolutely, I feel like +6 is easy money there.
I like Virginia Tech. You knew the money line of the +1, but Virginia Tech +1 against UF. Give me that one in the first round.
You just hate them. You're just like,
no, we love Mike White.
I'm a big Mike White.
We love Mike White. We love Mike White.
I love
So
Coach
before
Hamilton.
y'all guys keep going, I gotta hop off real quick. I got some more schoolwork to do. So thank you for having me on, and it was really fun.
Hey, Justin, we appreciate you coming on, brother. Thank you.
Anytime, man. See you.
So yeah, we're about to wrap it up, but I'll give you my lock. I like Drexel over Illinois, 100%. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I was about to say,
I'm just kidding, bro. I'm just kidding.
You might cover the spread.
Yeah, nah, I'm definitely just kidding. Don't listen to me, but yeah, that was fun, guys.
All right,
I
Jake,
enjoyed
you
it,
got
man. I
any?
really appreciate that.
You got any locks?
For the first
No.
man, I'm not the betting type, but I will say, I think Florida State's going to cover, man. I really like FSU against UNCG. Like, I think we're going to come out and lock in. I think, was it like 10 now? 9.5, 10.5?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's a lock, but I like it a lot. I don't know why. I feel like Ham's going to have these guys ready to play, at least, especially first weekend. And the only reason I didn't pick them to beat Michigan is I just think Michigan's a better basketball team. I mean, at that point. But, yeah, I like the Noles. We'll see what happens.
I'm going to stick with
All right.
Syracuse. I think they're going to – I mean, obviously they're the 11th seed, and San Diego State is the 6th seed. So San Diego State's going to be favored there. But whatever the line is, I don't know what it is now. I would take the orange all the way.
There's a few
All
lines.
right.
That I'm looking at them now. I'm kind of questioning some of these lines. Like Iona's 17-point dogs to Bama. Rick Pitino's a 17-point dog. I'm taking Pitino plus 17.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 17, easy.
Creighton as a 10-point favorite over UC Santa Barbara. I think Santa Barbara and the Guachos are really good. I'm taking Santa Barbara plus 10. There's a couple things here. I'm like, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's good money making business here. You know, in the NCAA tournament, it's fun. You know, you'll lose a game by 1 point and you'll be like, fuck. But at the end of the day, it's all fun and games. We love playing it. We love putting money on our brackets and everything like that. I want to thank each and every one of you. We've got at least one representative here from everybody. So I want to go ahead and you know, throw it around to you guys. Give a shout out to your podcast, your shows. Arya, I know you got like 1,000,001 things going on. So like do whatever. Shout out whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna give you the starting poll here and let you go first since you got 1,000,001 different things.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, guys. First off, for doing this, and love talking Noles hoops anytime. I've been a big fan of all you guys. Keep doing your work, do your thing, and yeah, Tuck Talk. We do a podcast. That's been a lot of fun, and that's probably the most relevant to this. So appreciate it, and thanks for doing it again. And go Noles. Hope to talk to you guys. Maybe we'll do this again for a Final Four if the Noles are there.
Absolutely.
Oh,
That'd be crazy. Let's go.
Boys, I'm gonna log off. Good to see you guys. Y'all be good.
All right, appreciate you. All right.
Later.
Am I
Yeah, it's
next? Am I after Arya? Arya does the I was watching softball and baseball this weekend. He does all the play-by-play for that. So when you're watching like the ESPN like the watch ESPN, ESPN3 or whatever. So Arya does a great job on all that stuff too. Yeah, no, appreciate you having us on. Sorry that Richie has terrible takes. I try and get those straight on Double Fries. No Slaw as well. So we have a good time over there. The best part about that show is as much crap as I give him is Richie's basketball minute. So hopefully he has 3 more to do. Because if he does, then I mean we're cutting down the net. So he does a basketball minute every week, and that's the best part of the show. And he lets me tag along. So thanks for having us on, Caleb and Marshall. This was fun.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
come on
brother.
soon. Come back soon. We love having you on here.
Absolutely. You guys have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
You too. See you, TJ.
See you guys.
You need to unlock your iPhone.
All right, I'll go next. Yeah, I just want to thank you guys. Thank you, Caleb and Marshall, for having the Nole Zone on here. It was great to talk with you guys and just have a lot of basketball minds talking together for over 2 hours. So it was pretty awesome because that's definitely our favorite thing at FSU, clearly. So this was a good night, that's for sure. Definitely going to be a highlight of this semester in school. But yeah, the only shout out I can give right now is follow us on Instagram. We're trying to grow our page. We do a lot of giveaways. We have a lot of exciting stuff coming in the future, especially with a great recruiting class coming in with Jalen Worley, Matthew Cleveland, Caleb Mills. The list goes on and on and on. Next year is going to be a lot of fun. So follow us at Nole Zone FSU on Instagram, all lowercase, and check out our podcast. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's the Nole Zone.
Yes, sir. It's great to meet you, Jake. You got a good thing going on, man. Y'all keep it up, all right?
Appreciate it. Y'all take care.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Jake.
And then last but not least, I guess I'm here.
What up?
We
Hey, we're
record,
going to midnight, baby. Let's go.
we record here. We record here at the Spear every Thursday night. We had to move it to Wednesday last week just because of the ACC tournament. I'm gonna be telling a lot of March Madness stories this Thursday night because there's so many great ones. And then obviously I'm gonna plug my articles because I put in so much work, especially for the game previews on NoleGameDay.com. I'm gonna be going all out for the tournament. I'm really gonna go in depth with these teams. Really give you everything they do. I mean, I'm gonna give you everything the team's gonna see. Thank you guys. This was a blast. It's not often I deal with a bunch of goobers on here, the Spirit, that don't know about basketball. I'm talking to myself for 45 minutes. So it was a lot of fun catching up with TJ and Aria and all these guys. It was a blast. I know you guys had me on before the season. Hopefully I'll be on after the season too.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you every time you're on. You give a lot of insight into basketball. You know, we know a little bit about basketball, but not into the depths that you do. So we really do appreciate you coming on, man. And if you guys don't already, you know, if you're on Bleacher Report or anything, go show some love to Austin Veazey's articles from Nole Game Day that are placed on there as well, because that just helps Nole Game Day improve even more, as well as promoting Austin's name in the business of article writing. And it's just great stuff. He provides great content when it comes to basketball. So if you're interested in Florida State basketball, go, you know, view his articles and learn a lot about him, because that's how I learned a lot about him. I mean, I wouldn't know half the shit I do without reading Austin's articles. So it's great. I mean, I can watch it myself, but I don't have the basketball experience that Austin does. So it's great stuff that he's able to provide for everybody.
And I appreciate that. I started this because when I was in the program as a manager for 3 years, you know, there were so many articles from, I'm not going to say the sites because I don't want to bash other sites, but they just see it from a different perspective. They don't see what the team's trying to do. They just see it how it is. They give you the box score and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I came out. I'm like, I want to educate fans. I want fans to see what Florida State's trying to do, what they're going to accomplish in this game, and why this game didn't go as they planned, like we saw with Georgia Tech. Yeah. I've been doing this for 2 seasons now. I've had a blast, and every time I'd get a praise, a shout out. I appreciate it so much, and I really think Florida State's they're here to stay for a long time, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah,
yes, sir. Go ahead, Marshall.
That's awesome, man. It's cool that you're getting in there and you're getting into like the real X factor into why everything happens. It's not just a box score, you know. It's the relationships between everyone and what's going on and what everyone's trying to do and what the team's going through at the time. That really makes the biggest difference, and that's cool that you're doing that, writing about it, and like come back on soon, man. We love having you on here.
Yeah, man. Anytime.
Yeah, absolutely, Austin. We appreciate you having you on every single time. We'll have you on soon. Hopefully it's, you know, a Final Four thing we get to do. But with that being said, we appreciate you for just coming on tonight, man. It was great having you.
Of course, man. Thank you guys.
Yes, sir. And with that being said, it's me and Marshall. You got anything to say before you go ahead and log off, baby?
Man, that was fun. That was a good time.
It was a great time, man. It's always a great time having these guys on. We got to meet a couple of new guys, and Jake and Justin out of the Nole Zone, who, you know, held their own tonight. You know, they're a couple young guys. They had a great time themselves. They were able to get their input in there, tell us a little bit more about what's going on over there at Florida State with the student section. It was great having them on. Obviously having our normal people that we love. But also having Arya on, who's a nice play-by-play guy. He does Florida State women's basketball, Florida State softball, Florida State baseball, all kinds of play-by-play. Awesome having Arya on. Not only, I originally thought we were only going to have Arya on for about 30 minutes is what he originally told me. We had him on for the full 2.5 hours that we're
He stuck
coming up
around
on.
on his phone. He saw his phone up the whole time.
Yeah, just doing his thing. So, I mean, we appreciate the fans for coming in here, showing us some interaction there in the comments. It was awesome, guys. We really do appreciate it. With that being said, if you enjoyed the podcast, go ahead, shoot us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. Leave a comment if you so please. If not, if you're listening on Spotify, just subscribe. We really appreciate it. Everything, go subscribe to our YouTube as well. We're trying to grow that as it comes along. We're trying to get into the rhythm. There's 2 of us. We both, one of us is in school full time. One of us is got a full-time job. So trying to get everything together in terms of our clips and things of that nature. But really appreciate you guys for coming on here. We love you guys for joining us. But that's going to do it, guys. That's been another episode of Tribaholics.
Yes, sir. Go Noles, baby. March Madness. Let's go.